Chapter 1065. Devour Immortal Weapons. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. His demon sword directly slashed out as a beam of sword light tore through the air. Dongxing Ting coldly snorted and stepped out. The light from the spinning wheel was still as bright as before. The energy slashed out by the demon sword was directly devoured by the spinning wheel. At the same time, a powerful suction force pulled the demon sword away. Qin Wentian's countenance changed as he spoke. "Keep your immortal weapons." As the sound of his voice faded, everyone kept their immortal weapons. The expressions of the experts from the Namhuang clan were all extremely unsightly to behold. As for the experts from the Dongshengshan Gate and Zidi, all of them had immortal weapons in their hands that could enhance their combat prowess. "Qin Wentian, this ancient mountain shall be the place where you will die." Dongxing Ting coldly spoke. The gigantic spinning wheel in front of him unceasingly radiated a terrifying suction force. The law energy contained within this powerful immortal weapon could easily envelop this entire space, preventing Qin Wentian and the others from using immortal weapons. In fact, it could even devour the immortal energy attacking him. In this case, Dongxing Ting and the others were basically in an invincible position. "You are truly well prepared. Seems like this immortal weapon that old dog Eastern Sage gave you is specially used to deal with me." Qin Wentian stared at Dongxing Ting as he spoke. The immortal weapon in his hand was able to absorb the immortal weapons of others. In that case, they would undoubtedly be at a disadvantage in this battle. Your life is already at its end, yet your mouth is still so shameless. In this ancient mountain, no one can save you. Kill. Dongxing Ting coldly spoke. A moment later, his experts rushed towards Qin Wentian. At the same time, Ziyunwu, the nephew of Zidi, also waved his hand as the experts from the various powers also rushed towards Qin Wentian. Jiang Ziyu and the others from the Jiang clan watched from the back. Has the battle finally begun? Everyone disperse. Qin Wentian saw numerous immortal weapons radiating immortal might rushing over as he retreated. Everyone understood Qin Wentian's meaning. In such a situation, if they grouped together, they would undoubtedly become turtles trapped in a jar. The best method of combat was to expand the area of effect, so that Dongxing Ting's immortal weapons wouldn't be able to envelop all of them. Kill Qin Wentian. Dongxing Ting coldly spoke. With a wave of his hand, a gigantic flying shuttle appeared beneath his feet, transforming into a whirlwind that revolved frenziedly as it flew towards Qin Wentian. The experts beside him all boarded their flying shuttles as they sped towards Qin Wentian. This caused Namhuang Yunxi's beautiful eyes to stiffen. There were many experts from the Dongshengshan Gate who had extremely high cultivation bases, far surpassing Qin Wentian. In addition, they could even borrow the power of immortal-ranked weapons to fight. If they only targeted Qin Wentian, they would only be sending Qin Wentian to his death. Stop them. Namhuang Yunxi spoke. She once again sped towards Qin Wentian. The battle suddenly erupted as immortal might filled the air, causing a terrifying tempest to arise in this space. The experts from the Namhuang clan didn't even have time to disperse. They instantly gathered together and blasted out with their immortal might. The might of their immortal foundations gushed forth as they blasted out with their palms. Shadow after shadow of phoenixes swept through the area, causing the sky to turn red as terrifying flames burned the entire space. Qin Wentian, leave. Namhuang Yunxi spoke to Qin Wentian. The person Dongxing Ting and his group wanted to kill the most was Qin Wentian. They didn't have any killing intent towards the Namhuang clan, and didn't dare to act ruthlessly. Qin Wentian's countenance flickered with an intense coldness. Dongxing Ting waited until he entered the depths of the ancient mountain before acting. Clearly, Dongxing Ting wanted to sever his path of retreat, and wanted to kill him no matter what. However, he allowed Dongxing Ting to follow him because he also had the same thoughts in his heart. Rumble, a terrifying sound rang out. The experts around Dongxing Ting unleashed their attacks, shattering the shadow of the phoenixes unleashed by the Namhuang clan. The experts from the Namhuang clan all retreated. Evidently, they were at a disadvantage. But at this moment, Dongxing Ting suddenly felt an intense sense of danger. A beam of sword light flashed in front of him, and Dongxing Ting's countenance drastically changed. He hurriedly lifted the spinning wheel to block the attack. The sword light slashed apart the air as one of the experts beside Dongxing Ting screamed in agony. His face was directly severed as fresh blood splattered through the air. Their attacks slowed down as Dongxing Ting stopped. The experts around him instantly moved to his side to protect him. Qi. Another beam of sword qi slammed down. This time, it was a golden beam of sword light that didn't cause any terrifying commotion. However, this beam of sword qi seemed to descend from the void, and was tyrannical to the extreme. When it slashed over, the space around it was about to be severed apart. An expert beside Dongxing Ting lifted an immortal-ranked shield, and placed it in front of Dongxing Ting, blocking all the attacks. After that, a thunderous boom rang out, like a bolt of lightning smashing into the ground. The powerful impact forced them all to retreat. Only now did everyone clearly see that the attacker was a young man who didn't seem very old. His immortal foundation might gushed forth as his entire body was enveloped by a screen of light. Terrifying sword might circulated around him, exuding boundless might. Someone from the immortal Qianbian Gate. The eyes of the experts beside Dongxing Ting turned cold. Wasn't the combat prowess of this young man a little too tyrannical? He was actually able to unleash an illusory sword attack. After this person acted, the pressure on Qin Wentian and the experts from the Namhuang clan instantly lessened by a great deal. Other than the strength of the attacker, the other reason was because he chose the right time to attack as well as the person he attacked. The others had no choice but to protect Dongxing Ting. If they wanted to kill Qin Wentian, he would attack Dongxing Ting. Qin Wentian glanced at the attacker. This was the first time he saw this person, but he knew that this person would definitely play a crucial role. Because this person was one of the 2 disciples from the heavenly talisman realm brought here by Wuxia. In addition, both of them were experts at the peak level of Immortal Foundation. Send a few people to deal with him. Dongxing Ting glanced at the disciples from the heavenly talisman realm, as he coldly spoke. The experts beside him exchanged glances, and a few moments later, a few high-leveled Immortal Foundation experts brought their immortal-ranked weapons, and walked towards that person. Although it was very difficult for this person to change the overall situation, the threat of his attacks was too great. He could easily pose a fatal threat to Dongxing Ting. Even if they couldn't kill him, they had to trap him. Are you able to kill Dongxing Ting? At this moment, a voice drifted into Qin Wentian's ears. It was none other than a disciple from the heavenly talisman realm, who transmitted his voice to him. If no one else interferes, there won't be a problem. Qin Wentian replied. Okay, it's not convenient for us to split up. We will work together with the Namhuang clan to delay this group of people. You leave this place and lure Dongxing Ting into pursuing you. That person spoke again. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. This idea was feasible, but it wouldn't be so easy to execute it. However, if he could really lure Dongxing Ting away, the people on his side would be able to use their immortal-ranked weapons. It shouldn't be a problem for them to delay the battle. Go. That person spoke. Qin Wentian abruptly turned and sped towards the canyon behind him. A pair of great rock wings appeared behind his back as he moved with lightning speed. Where do you think you can escape to? Dongxing Ting, Zi Yunwu and a disciple of the Xian Emperor saw that Qin Wentian wanted to flee. How could they let him go? They rushed out at the same time, chasing after Qin Wentian. Numerous attacks blasted out, cleaving open a path for him. Stop them! Namhuang Yunshi commanded. The experts of the Namhuang clan rushed over, causing Dongxing Ting and the others to split up to deal with the experts from the Namhuang clan. However, there were still over 10 experts who slaughtered their way out, disregarding everything else as they sped towards the direction where Qin Wentian was fleeing. Namhuang Yunshi's eyes flashed. She controlled the Phoenix boat, and brought several experts with her as they sped towards Qin Wentian. Humph! Dongxing Ting and the others coldly snorted. The flying shuttle spun madly, slicing through the air as it sped towards the canyon ahead. But at this moment, an expert suddenly appeared. It was none other than the other expert from the heavenly talisman realm, Wuxia. He had a mountain in his hand and abruptly smashed it downwards, wanting to seal this entire space. An expert beside Dongxing Ting blasted out in rage. In an instant, tens of thousands of fist lights manifested, wanting to destroy everything. The mountain peak crumbled, transforming into countless rocks. But at this moment, a powerful gravity field suddenly manifested. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu only felt as though a gigantic mountain range was pressing down on them, making it extremely difficult for them to withstand the pressure. Boom! The expert in front stomped down as the might of his immortal foundation erupted forth. Dong Xingting's body directly fell from the air as he howled in pain. Go kill him! Dong Xingting commanded. The two of you go. Zi Yunwu also spoke. After which, several experts rushed towards the expert in front, surrounding the heavenly talisman realm. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu continued flying up into the air. Come down! The expert from the heavenly talisman realm glowed with a translucent light, as though he was clad in an indestructible armor. His palms grabbed out in the air as a formless palm imprint containing a terrifying gravitational force manifested. Dong Xingting had no way to escape from the gravity field even with his flying shuttle. Go down and kill him! Dong Xingting roared in rage. His gaze stared ahead. Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi had already fled far away. Young Master Ting. The eyes of the guard beside him flickered. Don't worry, there are only two of them in front. The few of us are enough to deal with them. Dong Xingting roared as he was pulled down. Quick! Roger! The guard beside him flew down as the might of his immortal foundation gushed forth. The expert below roared in rage, resembling a primordial giant. At this moment, Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu rushed out of the gravity field and soared ahead. However, the other experts from the heavenly talisman realm were all enveloped by a terrifying might. Their eyes flashed with coldness as they slaughtered their way towards the expert below. On the main battlefield, Jiang Ziyu stared at the experts fighting as he coldly laughed in his heart. The experts from the Dong Shengshan Gate didn't show any mercy when fighting against the experts from the immortal Qianbian Gate. However, they didn't dare to go all out against the experts from the Namhuang clan, because the Dong Shengshan Gate couldn't afford to antagonize the Namhuang clan. Now that Dong Xingting has left, the experts from the heavenly talisman realm would only be delayed. His gaze turned to the horizons as his terrifying eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. He then spoke in a low voice. Dong Xingting is finished. Dong Xingting should have the advantage, right? A person beside Jiang Ziyu spoke. That expert from the immortal Qianbian Gate in the canyon is much stronger compared to the one who used the void sword technique earlier. He should be able to delay Dong Xingting for a little longer, but he didn't, allowing Dong Xingting to chase after Qin Wentian. I'm sure Qin Wentian would have a way to kill Dong Xingting. Jiang Ziyu laughed, as though he had a very high opinion of Qin Wentian. His gaze abruptly shifted, only to see that there was no one beside him. His brows twitched. That black-robed expert with the bronze mask actually silently left during the battle. How interesting. Chapter 1066. At this moment, Namfeng Yunxi was together with Qin Wentian, driving the phoenix boat through the gorge. Other than the two of them, there was another young woman with them. This young woman was none other than Namfeng Yunxi's protector. She had always been following Namfeng Yunxi, and her cultivation base was extremely high. There are people chasing after us. There are three of them, the disciples of Dong Xingting, and the Violet Emperor. One of them has a low cultivation base, only at the 4th level of Immortal Foundation. However, his identity seems to be extraordinary, and the person protecting him is extremely powerful. The person beside Namfeng Yunxi spoke. In that case, Dong Xingting's protector has been intercepted. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered. Can you deal with the protector of Zidi's sect? If we all borrow immortal weapons, even if we can't defeat him, it shouldn't be a problem to delay him, she replied. Right, I will have to trouble Senior to stay behind and attack the protector. You only need to attack Dong Xingting and Zidi's disciples. That protector will definitely delay you. Leave Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu to me and Yunxi. Qin Wentian spoke. Sure. The protector nodded. After which, his silhouette flickered as he leaped down from the phoenix boat. His immortal might gushed forth as a terrifying shadow phoenix manifested in the air, blocking their path. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu's eyes flashed when they saw this scene. The two of them exchanged glances, feeling that things were getting troublesome. If they were blocked by this protector, Qin Wentian might be able to flee. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu, who was at the 4th level of Immortal Foundation, were already more than sufficient to kill Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi. In addition, they had many immortal weapons in their hands while the immortal weapons of their opponents were useless. You deal with him. The two of us will continue our pursuit, Zi Yunwu decisively commanded. The eyes of the protector flickered as he nodded. Zi Yunwu also had many treasures on him. The two of them were in an invincible position. Dong Xingting's flying shuttle took a detour, arcing through the air with lightning speed, causing the Namhuang clan's expert to start. Dong Xingting took the initiative to take a detour and chase after him, saving her the trouble. She only needed to deal with the person in front of her. In the situation where we don't use immortal-ranked weapons, we would still be at a disadvantage against the two of them. Dong Xingting is the son of Dongxing Heaven Emperor, and that young man seems to be the successor of Zidi. He should have many treasures on him. Namhuang Yunxi spoke to Qin Wentian. I know. Qin Wentian nodded. Keep going. All right. Namhuang Yunxi didn't know what Qin Wentian was thinking in his heart, but seeing how confident he was, she knew that he must have a way to deal with Dong Xingting. Qin Wentian, you won't be able to escape. Behind them, a sound wave gushed over, causing the ancient mountains to reverberate. Qin Wentian shuttled through the ancient mountains, occasionally encountering divine aura attacks. However, he guarded his heart and mind, resisting the divine aura attacks. Qin Wentian and his companions arrived at a flat area. His silhouette flickered as he waved his hands. An instant later, a rumbling sound rang out as an incomparably gigantic ancient city floated in the air. This was none other than the Driftsnow city. Dong Xingting, who was behind them, directly controlled the flying shuttle and soared into the air. The roulette in his hands enlarged, blotting out the skies as its aura swallowed the heavens. Even the Driftsnow city was trembling from the pressure. What grade of immortal-ranked weapon is that? Namhuang Yunxi's beautiful eyes stared up at the air. Dong Xingting's roulette was like the king of weapons, able to devour all immortal-ranked weapons. Rumble. Qin Wentian stepped out as the bell chimes rang out. A fearsome arrow pierced through the air, but Dong Xingting had the roulette in his hands, blocking in front of him. Those immortal-ranked arrows were all sucked into the vortex of the roulette. An incomparably tyrannical devouring energy enveloped the ancient city, causing it to tremble even more violently. Namhuang Yunxi could only keep her phoenix boat. With this in hand, in addition to Dong Xingting's protectors, even if there are as many experts as the clouds in the ancient mountain, it would be as difficult as ascending the heavens to kill him. However, Dong Xingting chose a path of death. Qin Wentian's eyes were cold as killing intent flickered in them. He kept the Driftsnow city and continued forward with Namhuang Yunxi. Do you think you can still escape? A cold smile appeared on Dong Xingting's face. His long hair fluttered in the wind, exuding an incomparably tyrannical aura. The roulette shrank as he stepped on his flying shuttle and Zi Yunwu, flying towards Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi. At this distance, Qin Wentian would no longer be able to escape from his grasp. Let's descend. An area surrounded by mountains appeared before them. Qin Wentian brought Namhuang Yunxi and directly entered. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu sped ahead and finally, Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi stopped fleeing. Driving the flying shuttle, Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu floated in the air, coldly staring at Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi. Holy Maiden of the Southern Phoenix, there's no need for you to interfere now. Why don't you leave this place? Dong Xingting spoke to Namhuang Yunxi. Namhuang Yunxi clearly had an immortal sense in her body. Although immortal sense couldn't exist in this ancient mountain, if he acted against Namhuang Yunxi, the people of the Namhuang clan would surely know of it. If not, he would definitely make Namhuang Yunxi pay a price for her actions. This woman had a lofty status, and was also extremely beautiful. Namhuang Yunxi could sense the evil intent in Dong Xingting's eyes. A cold light flickered in her eyes, but at this moment, Qin Wentian's body trembled violently as he retreated unceasingly. Bolts of lightning seemed to be invading his sea of consciousness. Namhuang Yunxi inclined her head as her gaze trembled violently. Only now did she discover that the four walls of the mountain actually contained a terrifying divine might, as though they were all divinities. Rumble. She took a step back as she groaned in misery. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu both felt that something was wrong. The divine essence of this place seemed to be extremely strong. Qin Wentian actually fled to such a place. Don't look at the rampart. Qin Wentian spoke to Namhuang Yunxi. He didn't even dare to release his perception, or he might be attacked by the divine essence. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu also discovered this point. They stared at Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi, focusing all their attention on them. Qin Wentian, how do you want to die? Dong Xingting spoke in arrogance. Are you so confident? Qin Wentian stared at Dong Xingting. Back then in front of me, you were merely an ant from a country bumpkin world. Do you really think you can soar to become a dragon with a single leap? You will forever be a lowly existence. Even if you managed to climb up to the Namhuang clan in Qing, it would still be a path of death. After you die, I will follow my father to the Evergreen Kingdom and pay a visit to the Azure Emperor. At the same time, I will also take a look at Qing. As Dong Xingting spoke, a pair of gloves appeared in his hands, exuding a powerful immortal might. Dong Xingting, are you so afraid of me? Why must you be so cautious? Qin Wentian laughed mockingly when he saw Dong Xingting's actions. He then turned to Zi Yunwu. Are you Zidi's successor? I'm Zi Yunwu. Zidi is my uncle. Now that Daoyang has fallen, you have to accompany him in death. Zi Yunwu coldly spoke. A towering violet light radiated from him, exuding an indestructible might. This was none other than Zidi's ultimate art, the ultimate violet saint immortal art. Zi Yunwu, who was at the 4th level of Immortal Foundation, unleashed such power. His strength was many times stronger compared to Zi Daoyang. Who is it? At this moment, Zi Yunwu abruptly turned his head, after which he saw a man and a demon walking into this place surrounded by mountains. This man was wearing a bronze mask, and his eyes that were exposed were exceptionally cold. Sir, this matter has nothing to do with you. Leave quickly. Zi Yunwu flicked his sleeves. That mysterious figure abruptly released a diagram. This diagram transformed into a gigantic one that soared up into the air, blotting out the sun and sealing the space above. Terrifying black runic light circulated around the diagram, causing Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu to furrow their brows. Dong Xingting waved his hand as the gigantic wheel expanded in size. A terrifying devouring might gushed towards the diagram as a silvery light enveloped it, wanting to devour it whole. However, the devouring might seemed to be blocked by a strange energy. The runic inscriptions on the diagram flowed, sealing the energy that got near it. The roulette actually had no way to devour it. Hand over all your immortal rank treasures to me. The bronze masked man spoke. Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu's countenances sank as cold smiles appeared on their faces. Hand them over to him? How can this be possible? Sir, don't court death. Dong Xingting stared at the bronze masked man as he threatened. How about we join forces? The bronze masked man stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. Sure. Qin Wentian nodded. You are courting death. Dong Xingting's expression turned ashen. He stared at Zi Yunwu. Brother Zi, kill him first. I will fight for you. Zi Yunwu nodded. The might of his immortal foundation erupted forth as a terrifying violet giant appeared behind him. His entire body circulated with violet light, containing a supreme might within. Boom. Stepping out, Zi Yunwu stepped towards the bronze masked man. He lifted his palm and blasted out a violet palm imprint that could destroy everything, exuding a terrifying might. A diagram flew out from the body of the bronze masked man. It resembled a gigantic yin-yang fish that revolved frenziedly. One yin, one yang qianquan, the 8 trigrams. A powerful sealing energy gushed forth from within, and the diagram seemed to have become a living being. The tyrannical violet palm imprint slammed into the bronze masked man, shattering the diagram. Seal. Zi Yunwu's eyes flickered. The diagram grew larger and larger, illuminating the air. The incomparably gigantic yin-yang fish swam about as beams of yin-yang light cascaded down on him. He only felt his immortal foundation trembling as a formless sealing energy bore down on him, wanting to seal his immortal foundation. Break. Zi Yunwu roared and stepped out. A long purple spear appeared in his hand. With a loud rumbling sound, he shot it out. The long spear expanded and became tens of feet long. It aimed to kill everything in its path, wanting to pin his opponent to death. Boom! The bronze-masked man blasted out with his palms as a terrifying sealing diagram appeared in front of him. The long spear pierced into the diagram and paused for a moment before a thunderous sound rang out, shattering the seal. The black dog beside the bronze-masked man let out a howl as its body grew incomparably large. It slashed out with its sharp claws, and a similar sealing diagram appeared on its claws. This caused Zi Yunwu's countenance to turn extremely unsightly. This type of power was extremely annoying. Dong Xingting stared at the battle as he furrowed his brows. At this moment, Qin Wentian spoke. "I'm afraid it's not possible for you to rely on Zi Yunwu." Dong Xingting's gaze landed on Qin Wentian as his killing intent gushed forth. He coldly spoke. "Even if I'm alone, do you really think I won't be able to kill you? So confident? After equipping yourself with an immortal-ranked weapon, your guts grew a little bigger. However, your cowardly nature hasn't changed at all." Qin Wentian's countenance turned cold. Dong Xingting was clad in a divine armor and wielded a spinning disc that could devour immortal-ranked weapons. Both his hands were covered with gloves. He was truly fully equipped. Rumble! Dong Xingting's immortal might erupted forth as he cursed the bronze-masked man in his heart. Initially, it would be extremely easy for him and Zi Yunwu to kill Qin Wentian. But that damnable fellow appeared and changed the situation. But even so, he would still kill Qin Wentian here. The ending wouldn't change. At this moment, the diagram enveloping this entire space unceasingly radiated runic energy. That terrifying sealing energy completely sealed this entire space. Chapter 1067. Dong Xingting naturally also discovered the sealing effect of this treasure. This gigantic diagram contained the ability to seal space. That immortal-ranked treasure in his hand was something the Dongxing Heaven Emperor intentionally gave to him. Its grade was exceedingly high, and it wasn't like other attack-type immortal-ranked treasures that couldn't be controlled. As long as this treasure was activated, it would be able to unleash an overwhelming might, devouring the immortal energy of all immortal-ranked treasures. Even the attacks of the Driftsnow city wouldn't be able to do anything to it. However, the only reason why it was suppressed was because the surface of the diagram was flowing with sealing energy, causing the immortal energy of the treasure in his hand to have no way to affect it. He had no idea what the identity of this mysterious expert was. He actually wanted to snatch his treasure. But now, he could only kill Qin Wentian first before dealing with that mysterious expert. Boom! Qin Wentian released his immortal foundation. His perfect saint-grade immortal foundation shone with a dazzling immortal light as rumbling sounds rang out from his body, trembling unceasingly. 10,000 meters of immortal light appeared above Qin Wentian's head as a phenomenon manifested. Beams of immortal light shot towards Dong Xingting, transforming into a diagram of different colors. There were swords that could annihilate everything, giants that could suppress everything, ancient halberds that could destroy everything. Dong Xingting lifted the spinning wheel in front of him. The terrifying beams of immortal light shot into it, and were all devoured by the spinning wheel. As long as it was immortal energy, it would be devoured. There was simply no solution to this. That old dog Eastern Sage is truly willing to part with it. If you die, this powerful immortal-ranked treasure would be lost as well. Most probably, that old dog Eastern Sage would feel heartache for a period of time. Qin Wentian naturally could tell how precious the immortal-ranked treasure in Dong Xingting's hand was. Dong Xingting dared to come here because he was relying on this treasure. You are already a person who is about to die, yet you still dare to be so stubborn. Dong Xingting's immortal energy seeped into the glove, instantly gushing forth with terrifying might. Dong Xingting punched out with rage, transforming into a series of gigantic fists that swept across the heavens and earth, capable of destroying everything. In fact, a terrifying killing intent could be seen flickering within. Rumbling sounds rang out as Qin Wentian's body expanded in size. It was as though he wanted to break through this sealed space. His god's hand blasted out, blotting out the sky as it blasted towards Dong Xingting. Since long-range attacks would be devoured by his opponent's treasure, he might as well use his strongest attack. This god's hand truly blotted out the sky, able to cover everything. The roulette in Dong Xingting's hand expanded in size, frenziedly devouring the immortal might. With a thunderous boom, the god's hand slammed into the roulette and was forced back. Useless. Qin Wentian roared. He then spoke to Nanfeng Yunxi. Since he is so cowardly, why don't you stand behind him and see how he is going to defend himself? Right. Namhuang Yunxi's silhouette flickered as a pair of phoenix wings appeared on her back. Her entire person was enveloped by a holy phoenix glow as a gigantic phoenix phantom appeared in the air, exuding boundless might. She then circled behind Dong Xingting. Since you are so shameless, I won't be polite with you then. Qin Wentian spoke. Nanfeng, use your immortal rank treasure. If he absorbs it, you should do the same. I want to see how fast his movements are. As the sound of his voice faded, a demon sword appeared in Qin Wentian's hand. The demon sword sliced through his finger as fresh blood dripped onto it. Instantly, the demon sword was dyed red as a terrifying demonic might gushed forth, engulfing the heavens and earth. Boom! The demon sword grew incomparably gigantic, perfectly matching Qin Wentian's current size. God's hand grabbed onto the demon sword as a supreme sharpness gushed forth, lacerating everything. Absorb it for me. Dong Xingting pointed the roulette wheel at the demon sword in Qin Wentian's hand when he saw this scene. Behind him, Namhuang Yunxi moved like a bolt of lightning. A pair of phoenix wings appeared on her back as a fiery red phoenix spear appeared in her hands. She directly stabbed it towards Dong Xingting's back. Towering flames towered up into the sky as the cry of an ancient phoenix rang out. Dong Xingting tilted his body and abruptly adjusted the direction of the roulette wheel, aiming it in the direction of Namhuang Yunxi. Boom! Qin Wentian's demon sword ferociously slashed down, wanting to cleave apart the void. The shadow of a towering great rock slammed down, causing Dong Xingting's countenance to turn ashen. He hurriedly lifted the roulette wheel to block the attack above his head. Qin Wentian's demon sword directly slashed down, the terrifying might slamming into the roulette wheel. With a thunderous boom, Dong Xingting's body was buried deep into the ground. I told you to swallow it. Qin Wentian roared. The demon sword expanded in size once more, piercing through space and slamming into Dong Xingting. Dong Xingting roared in rage. The demon sword trembled as he struggled to get up. Qin Wentian's body trembled as he directly stepped on the demon sword. With a thunderous boom, Dong Xingting, who wanted to get up, was once again buried deep into the ground as his face turned red. Without these immortal rank treasures, you are nothing but trash. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. On the other side, Ziyanwu's countenance drastically changed when he saw the situation. He wanted to escape, but the sealing energy of the mysterious masked young man was too terrifying. If he was the slightest bit careless, his immortal energy and immortal foundation would all be sealed. He could only brace himself and continue fighting, not giving his opponent any chance. Namhuang Yunxi stabbed her phoenix spear towards Dong Xingting. Dong Xingting roared in rage as he punched out with his right fist. Phoenix slash. Namhuang Yunxi coldly snorted. Countless spear shadows manifested, transforming into numerous phoenixes that smashed apart Dong Xingting's fist light. Qin Wentian's gigantic body appeared directly above Dong Xingting, as he stomped down ruthlessly. With a piercing sound, Dong Xingting groaned in agony as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He no longer resisted the pressure, and chose to sink deeper into the ground, bringing the roulette wheel along with him. Truly courting death. Qin Wentian coldly laughed when he saw this scene. After which, he slammed his fist into the ground, causing the entire earth to tremble violently. The destructive sword might from the impact caused the earth to crumble as countless dust particles floated up into the air. Dong Xingting's figure appeared. His entire body trembled violently as he coughed out blood unceasingly. The demon sword hummed as it flew up. Qin Wentian grabbed the hilt of the sword and slashed downwards. Although Dong Xingting was injured, he could only brace himself and use the immortal rank treasure to block above his head. The terrifying devouring energy caused the demon sword to accelerate even faster, ruthlessly piercing into the roulette wheel, causing Dong Xingting to lose his grip. However, the demon sword actually sank deeper and deeper into the roulette wheel. Swallow it for me. Dong Xingting roared in rage. The roulette wheel transformed into a bottomless pit. Dong Xingting's eyes flashed with a ruthless light. He still placed his hopes on this treasure. Nam Huang Yunqi's silhouette descended once more as the might of her immortal foundation gushed forth. Terrifying phoenixes destroyed everything. Dong Xingting lifted his palms to defend while staring at Nam Huang Yunqi. I have no grudge with the Nam Huang clan. Why must you bully me so much? Rise. Qin Wentian roared in rage. He actually swung the demon sword and smashed it towards the side. With a thunderous boom, Dong Xingting and the roulette wheel were smashed into the runes of the ceiling runes. The roulette wheel in his hands finally fell out of his grasp. Qin Wentian kept the demon sword. At this moment, the light from the roulette wheel dimmed. Qin Wentian directly kept it. You. Dong Xingting's eyes turned red as he stared at Qin Wentian. His countenance was as pale as paper. A treasure appeared in his hands and he directly crushed it. An intense spatial light enveloped him as he transformed into a beam of light, wanting to rush out. However, an instant later, a thunderous boom rang out as he was rebounded back. Staring at the runes of the ceiling runes, Dong Xingting's countenance turned ashen. This ceiling runes seemed to be there to prevent him from escaping. How do you want to die? An expression of mockery appeared on Qin Wentian's face when he saw Dong Xingting's actions. The demon sword expanded in size once more as it slashed out once more, smashing onto Dong Xingting's body. Dong Xingting was once again smashed into the ceiling runic inscriptions, causing countless bones in his body to break as he coughed out blood unceasingly. If you dare to kill me, my royal father will spare no cost to kill you. Your family and friends will all die. Dong Xingting howled in rage. What welcomed him was yet another violent attack, causing Dong Xingting's entire body to go limp as he slid down the wall like a corpse. Seems like the immortal sense in your body is a life-saving one. As long as I don't kill you, it won't be triggered. Qin Wentian's eyes were incomparably cold. He stared at Dong Xingting and kept the demon sword. His body also reverted back to its normal size as he flew towards Dong Xingting. Dong Xingting stared at the mocking gaze in Qin Wentian's eyes as he almost went crazy. He was the son of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, a lofty young master of the Dongshengshan Gate. His heart had always been filled with an incomparably strong sense of pride. He looked down on Qin Wentian, but in the depths of his heart, he was jealous of Qin Wentian. He wanted to make use of the opportunity in the ancient mountain to kill Qin Wentian. When he saw Qin Wentian fleeing, he felt very happy, enjoying the feeling of chasing after Qin Wentian. In his eyes, Qin Wentian was like an ant. There was no way for him to escape. But from the looks of things now, everything seemed extremely strange. He felt that something was wrong, but as for what was wrong, he had no way to pinpoint it. Right now, Qin Wentian was looking down on him, trampling on his dignity and controlling his life. You treasure the people of that particle world very much, right? Back then when my royal father led his army to the particle world, I heard that you didn't want to start a war there. If you dare to kill me, my royal father will make sure that everyone you know will be buried together with you. I can guarantee that. Dong Xingting roared. The more you threaten me, the more you tell me how weak you are right now. You want to threaten me, wanting me to spare your lowly life? But do you think it's possible? Qin Wentian mocked. His palm slammed into Dong Xingting's body, controlling his strength perfectly, causing Dong Xingting's bones to shatter unceasingly. His screams of agony rang out unceasingly as he slumped weakly onto the ground. However, he still had a trace of hope. He was an immortal foundation expert. As long as his immortal foundation wasn't broken and he didn't die, he would be able to recover from any injuries. Do you still remember the first time we met? What was the gaze in your eyes when you looked at me? At that time, did you ever imagine that today would come? Qin Wentian spoke. The gaze Dong Xingting used to look at Qin Wentian was the same as the gaze he used to look at Qin Wentian back then. Mockery, disdain, like he was looking at an ant. Before you kill me, my royal father's immortal sense will appear. I bet that you won't dare to kill me. Dong Xingting still wanted to give himself the confidence to live on. Chapter 1068. You are truly confident enough. Qin Wentian laughed mockingly. This Dongxing Ting actually thought that he, Qin Wentian, wouldn't dare to kill him in case the Dongxing Heaven Emperor took revenge on him. Dongxing Ting's eyes were fixed on Qin Wentian. When he saw the cold smile on Qin Wentian's face, he felt a chill in his heart. Could it be that Qin Wentian really dared to kill him? As he thought of this, terror appeared in Dongxing Ting's heart. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian no longer looked at him. He turned to Namhuang Yunxi and spoke, "Yunxi, look after him. I will go deal with Zi Yunwu." "Right." Namhuang Yunxi nodded. Qin Wentian then walked towards another direction. At this moment, Zi Yunwu was already in a state of panic. The combat methods of the mysterious man before him were too bizarre. Not only that, his immortal foundation was also perfect. That yin-yang fish shot out beams of light, sealing his immortal energy unceasingly, causing him to feel extremely uncomfortable. That black dog was also very powerful. It was like a black specter, and its speed was frighteningly fast. Moreover, it was also proficient in sealing power. At this moment, Qin Wentian walked over, causing Zi Yunwu's countenance to turn pale. He stared at the mysterious masked man and spoke, "Sir, since you want the immortal weapon, I will give it to you. I gave you a chance earlier. Now I will take it myself." The mysterious man replied in a hoarse voice. Numerous yin-yang fish shot out, sealing the attacks, immortal energy and even immortal foundation of Zi Yunwu. The demon sword in Qin Wentian's hand hummed as the might of his immortal foundation gushed forth. He abruptly rushed out and slashed out with his sword. The shadow of a great rock manifested, transforming into a great rock sword that slashed apart the void. The violet-colored immortal weapon in Zi Yunwu's hand blasted out, blocking Qin Wentian's attack. The sharp claws of the black hound lunged over. Zi Yunwu held madly as he punched out with his other hand, colliding head-on with the black hound. On the other side, the immortal might of the mysterious masked expert gushed forth as numerous yin-yang fish diagrams gushed into Zi Yunwu's body. Zi Yunwu only felt his immortal energy circulating smoothly as his countenance turned pale. He wanted to retract his palm, yet he only saw Qin Wentian laughing. The demon sword in his hand unleashed a terrifying storm of sword qi, lacerating everything as it pierced towards him. Zi Yunwu took out a life-saving spatial treasure. Just like Dongxing Ting, he wanted to flee. A beam of light shot up into the clouds, but Zi Yunwu didn't move at all. That spatial energy was blocked by the sealing energy in the air. He had no way to exit. At this moment, the mysterious bronze-masked expert directly imprinted his palm on Zi Yunwu's body. A huge yin-yang fish diagram drilled into Zi Yunwu's body, and the immortal light on Zi Yunwu's body dimmed. The bronze-masked expert blasted out with both palms as the immortal light from his immortal foundation flowed unceasingly into Zi Yunwu's body. Gradually, the immortal might radiating from Zi Yunwu dissipated. His immortal foundation was actually sealed by the yin-yang fish diagram. "Whatever you want, I will give it to you. If you kill me, my uncle will never spare you." Zi Yunwu roared at the bronze-masked expert. As the sound of his voice faded, Qin Wentian's demon sword was already pressed against his neck. Zi Yunwu's countenance was as pale as paper. He turned his head and stared at Qin Wentian. "What about me?" Qin Wentian smiled at Zi Yunwu. But when this smile landed on Zi Yunwu's face, it seemed extremely bizarre. "Everything in the past shall be written off." Zi Yunwu spoke to Qin Wentian. "Are you joking with me?" Qin Wentian spoke. "I didn't say to kill Zi Daoyang. Yet you guys want my life? You don't have the guts to slaughter your way to the myriad devil islands? Seems like you guys think that I, Qin Wentian, am a pushover. As for writing off everything, who do you think you are? Are you qualified to make the decision for Zidi? I will plead with my uncle for mercy." Zi Yunwu replied. Qin Wentian had a mocking smile on his face. He stared at the demon sword on Zi Yunwu's neck as he spoke. "Do you think Zidi's immortal sense would be able to react in time if I slashed down with this sword?" Zi Yunwu's countenance turned pale. "However, I don't have much interest in this." Qin Wentian had a devilish smile on his face. That bronze-masked figure had already started to collect all the treasures and interspatial rings on Zi Yunwu's body. After that, he walked towards Dongxing Ting. Namhuang Yunxi stared at the mysterious bronze-masked figure, as a look of bewilderment flashed in her eyes. Her beautiful eyes turned to Qin Wentian only to see Qin Wentian nodding his head to her before stepping aside, allowing the bronze-masked figure to collect the treasures on Dong Xingting's body. "Spare me and help me kill Qin Wentian. I guarantee that you will obtain even more treasures in the future." Dong Xingting spoke in a low voice to the bronze-masked figure, tempting him to deal with Qin Wentian. However, the bronze-masked figure merely glanced at him coldly, ignoring him. "I'm the son of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. As long as you do as I say, I won't go back on my words," Dong Xingting continued. However, he only saw the bronze-masked figure stretching out his hand and supporting his head, as though he was dragging a pet. Dong Xingting's countenance turned extremely ugly to behold. As the son of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, how lofty a status was he, yet now he was actually being dragged on the ground by someone else. The bronze-masked figure dragged Dong Xingting to a location not far away from Ziyunwu and tossed him there, as though he was a dead dog. "What do you want?" Dong Xingting's body trembled slightly. Being humiliated in such a manner, he could faintly sense that he was walking step by step towards death. Nobody bothered with him. He only saw the mocking look in Qin Wentian's eyes. Qin Wentian's gaze was filled with coldness when he stared at the two of them. "Since this is the case, let them pay the price for it." Yunxi. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to Namhuang Yunxi. Namhuang Yunxi walked over. Even now, she was filled with bewilderment in her heart. Why was Qin Wentian so confident that he would be able to kill Ziyunwu and Dong Xingting? One must know that Qin Wentian had always held the advantage. Also, why did that bronze-masked figure appear at such a timely time, when he was dealing with Ziyunwu and Dong Xingting? Why didn't he have the slightest intention to rob Qin Wentian and Qin Wentian? In fact, he even cooperated with her and Qin Wentian. This caused many questions to appear in Namhuang Yunxi's heart. When Ziyunwu and Dong Xingting saw that the bronze-masked figure was methodically punishing them while Qin Wentian stood at the side and watched on, the two of them suddenly felt a chill running down their spines as a chill ran down their spines. Dong Xingting stared fixedly at Qin Wentian and the bronze-masked figure. Did they know each other? "Who are you?" Dong Xingting's eyes turned ashen as he stared at the bronze-masked figure. Evidently, he had thought of something. How could everything be so coincidental? Sealing this space, cutting off their path of retreat. Was this really a coincidence? "You guys." Ziyunwu also felt his entire body turning cold. However, he only saw the bronze-masked man walking in front of him and directly slamming his palm onto Ziyunwu's body. A powerful sealing energy frenziedly permeated into Ziyunwu's body. Ziyunwu only felt that his immortal energy was completely sealed as a powerful sealing energy ravaged his body. Very swiftly, Ziyunwu felt that his entire body was filled with sealing runes. "What are you doing?" Ziyunwu wanted to speak, but he gradually discovered that he couldn't even speak. His entire person seemed to have fallen into a sealing curse as a sense of fear of death involuntarily rose in his heart. He no longer had the slightest bit of hope as his entire body trembled uncontrollably. Dong Xingting stood at the side and watched on. His entire body was limp and he too was trembling. It was as though he knew that the god of death was nearing him step by step. Qin Wentian stared at Dong Xingting, and coincidentally, Dong Xingting was also looking at him. "Qin Wentian, please spare me this time. In the future, I will definitely not find trouble with you again." Dong Xingting's voice was filled with terror. He finally admitted defeat, and no longer dared to use a threatening tone to speak to Qin Wentian. Instead, he was pleading. "Didn't you say that I would die for sure in the ancient mountain?" Qin Wentian coldly spoke. "Spare him?" If the one who lost was him, Qin Wentian, there was no doubt that he would be killed mercilessly by Dong Xingting. He even threatened to kill the people of the light particle world, and said that he would head to the Evergreen Kingdom to pay a visit to Qing. Did he, Dong Xingting, still want to live? "I admit that we had some conflicts in the past, but everything is over now. As long as you spare me, I can guarantee that I will persuade my father to let bygones be bygones." Dong Xingting was truly panicking. His voice was extremely weak. "Persuade your father to let bygones be bygones?" A cold smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Sadly, I don't intend to spare that old dog Eastern sage. After speaking, he turned to Namhuang Yunxi and spoke, Yunxi, let's go. Namhuang Yunxi started before nodding her head. After which, Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi soared into the air. With a wave of his hand, an opening appeared in the void as Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi walked out from it. Dong Xingting stared fixedly at the bronze-masked man. Who are you exactly? No matter what you want, I can agree to it as long as you spare me. The bronze-masked man walked to his side, and just like how he dealt with Zi Yunwu, he placed a palm imprint on Dong Xingting's body. Very swiftly, Dong Xingting's entire body was covered with terrifying sealing runes. After doing all this, the bronze-masked man waved his hands as the sealing runes on the 4 mountain ramparts faded away, revealing the majestic divine essence of the ramparts. He and the Black Hound floated up and flew towards one of the ramparts, leaving behind Zi Yunwu and Dong Xingting. The two of them had no way to speak. They were filled with despair as though they were waiting for the best execution. The bronze-masked man waved his hand and gathered his immortal power into an arrow, aiming it at Zi Yunwu. No, Zi Yunwu wanted to scream, but he found that he couldn't make a sound. The arrow pierced through the air, aiming for Zi Yunwu's heart. An incomparably tyrannical might directly bore down on him, and with a piercing sound, the arrow pierced through. A terrifying aura gushed forth as the tyrannical figure of the Violet Emperor descended. He roared in rage, and with a single glance, he saw the mysterious figure in the bronze mask, as well as the mountain rampart behind him. That powerful divine sense instantly gushed forth, rushing into the immortal sense of the Violet Emperor. The immortal sense of the Violet Emperor grabbed Zi Yunwu and soared up into the air, wanting to flee. However, at the next instant, the killing intent of the divine aura gushed forth, causing the immortal sense of the Violet Emperor to crumble apart. Zi Yunwu's body plummeted downwards from the air. He still had a breath of life left in him, but at this moment, numerous arrows of destruction shot towards him, piercing into his immortal foundation, his heart, and his head, nailing him to the ground. Dong Xingting closed his eyes. He didn't dare to look at this scene. His entire body was limp, and after that, the arrows shot out once again. My son! The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's immortal sense appeared. When he saw Dong Xingting's miserable state as well as that bronze-masked man, his immortal sense flickered with boundless killing intent as he directly attacked the bronze-masked man. But similarly, he didn't manage to escape from the divine essence of the ancient mountain. Dong Xingting was in despair. At this moment, he was so frightened that his soul left his body. He saw the bronze-masked man walking towards him, his cold eyes resembling the eyes of the Grim Reaper. Dong Xingting's lips moved as though he wanted to ask, "Who are you? Tell me, who am I?" The bronze-masked man spoke. This time around he spoke in a normal voice. Upon hearing this voice, as well as the mocking gaze in his eyes, Dong Xingting felt as though his soul had fallen into the depths of hell. Even when he died, he didn't close his eyes. Chapter 1069. At the God Hand Mountain Manor. A terrifying aura engulfed everything. A figure soared up into the air, exuding towering rage. At this instant, it was as though doomsday had arrived. My son! The Dongxing Heaven Emperor appeared in the air. With a roar of rage, his robes fluttered in the wind as a supreme immortal might bore down on this entire space. After which, he took a step out and sped towards the ancient mountain. Rumble! In the direction of the God Hand Mountain Manor, towering violet chi filled the air. Ziti stood there, similarly exuding a violent rage that permeated this entire space, exuding a stifling pressure. The experts of the God Hand Mountain Manor all had looks of shock on their faces as they stared at Ziti and the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. What happened exactly? Why were these two immortal emperors so enraged? Earlier, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor shouted, "My son." Could it be that something happened to Dong Xingting? The possibility of this was very high. But why was Ziti so enraged as well? They really wanted to know what happened exactly in the ancient mountain. Sadly, they could only guess. They saw Dong Xingting crazily killing his way into the ancient mountain, causing thunderous rumbling sounds to echo out. However, he still couldn't do anything and was forced back by the ancient mountain. This made everyone sigh in admiration at how tyrannical ancient Emperor Yi was. Back then when ancient Emperor Yi was still alive, how terrifying was he exactly? Who knows who that bronze-masked man is? Which power does he belong to? Whoever can tell me will be heavily rewarded. The Violet Emperor's voice was cold to the extreme, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. Momentarily, the expressions of the crowd flickered as they recalled who the Violet Emperor was talking about. That person wore a bronze mask, and had always been mysterious and low profile. He brought a black dog with him into the ancient mountain, and as for who he was, nobody knew. I will also heavily reward you. Dongxing Heaven Emperor stepped back, exuding a terrifying killing intent. He stared at everyone as his eyes turned red. He personally witnessed the miserable state of his son, Dongxing Ting. Dongxing Ting was almost crippled, lying limply on the ground, brutally killed. He could see the despair in Dongxing Ting's eyes, as well as the pleading for his life. However, it was useless. He was a lofty immortal emperor of the immortal realms, yet he had no way to save his son. He gave Dongxing Ting a powerful immortal rank treasure, and allowed many immortal foundation experts of the Dongshengshan Gate to accompany him, because he wanted to ensure that Dongxing Ting wouldn't meet with any mishaps in the ancient mountain. However, never in his wildest dreams did the Dongxing Heaven Emperor expect such an ending. His son died in the hands of an unknown mysterious person. Everyone was speechless. No one knew who the mysterious man with the bronze mask was. They didn't know where he came from, who his master was, or which force he belonged to. An expression of interest appeared on the Emperor of Qianbian's face. Seems like Dongxing Ting had died, and the person who killed him was actually that mysterious masked young man. At this moment, the gaze of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor abruptly turned over, landing on the Emperor of Qianbian as he coldly asked, "This man is extremely mysterious. Emperor of Qianbian, is he someone from your immortal Qianbian Gate?" An expression of ridicule appeared on the Emperor of Qianbian's face. "Dongxing Ting, do you like to vent your anger on others so much? I actually hope that the person who killed Dongxing Ting was someone from my immortal Qianbian Gate. The protection you gave Dongxing Ting must be extraordinary. The person who killed him must be an extraordinary character. In addition, there are so many experts protecting Dongxing Ting." The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's expression turned cold. Qianbian was right. There were so many experts protecting Dongxing Ting. Why did things turn out like this? What exactly happened in the ancient mountain? The Violet Emperor also didn't understand. Their immortal senses could sense a powerful sealing energy. That was a gigantic sealing diagram, a powerful immortal rank treasure, capable of sealing this entire space. Who was it that possessed such a powerful sealing treasure? He had no idea. "My son, I will definitely take revenge for you." Dongxing Ting clenched his fists tightly as killing intent gushed forth. He glanced in the direction of Emperor Yu, his eyes filled with unfriendliness. Emperor Yu didn't seem to notice and continued to drink his wine, while chatting with the people around him. He had already warned everyone that there would be dangers if they entered the ancient mountain. Since they chose to enter, how could they vent their anger on him after Dongxing Ting died? However, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor had lost a son. Most probably, he wouldn't be happy to see anyone. This bunch of bastards. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor thought of those who protected Dongxing Ting. A bunch of trash. All of them deserved to die. Within the ancient mountain, those experts who were being held back by the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate would never have imagined that the Dongxing Heaven Emperor actually had killing intent towards them. Although they couldn't be blamed for failing to protect their young lord, it was very normal for the Dongxing Heaven Emperor to vent his anger on them. Such incidents were too common in the immortal realms. If they knew that Dongxing Ting had been killed, they would surely be so frightened that they wouldn't dare to exit the ancient mountain. At this moment, Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi had already left the place where Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu died. There was no need for him to worry anymore. At this moment, Namhuang Yunxi's beautiful eyes landed on Qin Wentian's handsome face as she asked, "Are you acquainted with him? What do you think?" Qin Wentian smiled at Namhuang Yunxi. He knew that he naturally wouldn't be able to hide this from Namhuang Yunxi completely. "You seem to be fleeing, but in truth, you were waiting for him to fall into your trap. That man's sealing abilities are so strong, And he even has a terrifying treasure. Is he your friend? Who is he? Nam Huang Yunshi felt extremely curious. Yunshi, it's good that you know about this matter. Qin Wentian smiled at Nam Huang Yunshi, but didn't say anything. Nam Huang Yunshi smiled and nodded. Right now, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor doesn't even know how Dongxing Ting died. You must have done this intentionally, right? Why don't you guess? Qin Wentian and Nam Huang Yunshi exchanged mutual glances. There was no need for words to be spoken. Nam Huang Yunshi naturally understood that she wouldn't mention this matter to others. After all, she was a participant in the deaths of Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. He did this because he didn't want the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi to know how their descendants died. He didn't directly kill Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu. Although he had already offended the two immortal emperors, regardless of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor or Zidi, they still left some leeway. At the very least, these two immortal emperors wouldn't personally act to kill him. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor didn't personally kill him mainly because the immortal emperors of the immortal Qianbian Gate and the Dongshengshan Gate couldn't interfere. If not, the Emperor Qianbian could also kill his subordinates. Secondly, he had to consider his status. Zidi didn't personally act because there was no reason for him to do so. He, Qin Wentian, had only defeated Zi Daoyang in the City of Ancient Emperors. It was fine for him, Zidi, to order his subordinates to kill him. But if an immortal emperor personally killed the disciple of the Emperor Qianbian, Qin Wentian, because of such a minor matter, how would the people of the immortal realms view him, Zidi? Qin Wentian lacked a reason for the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi to personally kill him. And if they personally witnessed Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu dying in the hands of Qin Wentian, this reason would be sufficient. Even for immortal emperors, they might disregard their status and act to kill Qin Wentian. If that was the case, Qin Wentian would place himself in an extremely dangerous situation. If he could avoid this, Qin Wentian would naturally avoid putting himself in danger. This was the reason why Qin Wentian asked Di Tian to come here. When Dongxing Ting wanted to take his life in the ancient mountain, didn't he also have the same thoughts? He wanted to make sure Dongxing Ting wouldn't be able to leave this place. After this matter, Di Tian could vanish again. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi wouldn't be able to find him. Nobody would know that Di Tian was him. The only people who knew that the two of them were in contact with each other were those from the royal sacred sect. Holy Maiden. As the two of them moved through the ancient mountain, a voice drifted over. It was none other than the protector of Nam Huang Yunshi earlier. Upon seeing that both Nam Huang Yunshi and Qin Wentian were safe, she immediately rushed over. Are the others not here yet? Nam Huang Yunshi asked. They should still be fighting. That protector replied. After all, the immortal war between both sides wouldn't end so quickly. Let's go back and take a look. Nam Huang Yunshi spoke. After that, she steered the Phoenix boat forward and as expected, they encountered a group of immortal emperors on their way back. Are you alright? That disciple from the heavenly talisman realm who was clad in diamond armor asked when he saw Qin Wentian returning. Isn't this good? Qin Wentian shrugged and smiled. What about Dongxing Ting and that man from the Zidi sect? Were they shaken off? That protector asked as he fought. The treasure on Dongxing Ting is simply too powerful. In addition, he has many immortal ranked weapons on him. Yunshi and I were chased all the way and ended up in a miserable state. However, that expert in the mask is also an extraordinary character. He actually has an extremely powerful sealing treasure that can suppress Dongxing Ting. That protector must have eyed the treasure on Dongxing Ting and decided to intercept Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu. Since that space was sealed, I think Dongxing Ting's situation is extremely grim. Qin Wentian spoke in a clear voice, as though he was intentionally saying this for the people of the Dongshengshan Gate and Zidi sect to hear. And indeed, their countenances changed. An expert from the Dongshengshan Gate coldly spoke. His Highness Ting's treasure was intentionally given to him by the immortal emperor himself. How can it be suppressed? Stop your nonsense. Qin Wentian mockingly glanced at that person. I'm not talking to you. Why are you interrupting? As for Dongxing Ting, you guys can think whatever you want. He is unrivaled under the heavens, unrivaled. You guys can just wait for his return in peace. That person's countenance changed when he saw the mocking smile on Qin Wentian's face. After which he spoke, "Let's leave." As he spoke, the people around him frenziedly attacked, increasing the distance between them. After which, they all retreated in a single direction before departing at the same time. Even Qin Wentian had returned, but Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu didn't appear. This matter was truly strange. Senior brother. From afar, Jun Mingchen and Purgatory flew over, as well as the experts from the Namhuang clan. Why aren't they fighting anymore? Dong Xingting is in trouble. Qin Wentian laughed. That disciple from the heavenly talisman realm who transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian earlier to hunt down Dong Xingting cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. But he didn't say anything. Let's continue moving out. Many people have already entered the depths of the ancient mountain. The battles here have already wasted a lot of time. Someone spoke. Qin Wentian glanced over. The people from the Jiang clan weren't here. Evidently, they had all gone to search for the divine essence of God's hand. That was their true purpose for entering the ancient mountain. This ancient mountain is so deep that we can't see the bottom. It's extremely mysterious. Everyone be careful. Qin Wentian spoke. Before this, he had already lured Dong Xingting into several parts of the ancient mountain. But he still felt that he had only entered a small corner. This place where the inheritance left behind by ancient emperor, it wasn't so simple. Chapter 1070. Within the ancient mountain, everyone went deeper and deeper. There were countless experts gathered at the God Hand Mountain Manor, all of them waiting for the movements of the ancient mountain. However, the ancient mountain was completely silent. Outside the ancient mountain, no sound could be heard. Occasionally, there would be a few people coming out, but they were all stellar martial cultivators who didn't manage to gain anything. Many people stared at Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu calmly enjoyed the immortal banquet, as though he was long prepared to wait. Most probably, only Emperor Yu knew of the secret of the ancient mountain. How deep is this ancient mountain exactly? Dongxing Heaven Emperor asked Emperor Yu, his voice filled with coldness. He was waiting for the mysterious masked man to come out and kill him, taking revenge for Dong Xingting. But now, that masked man seemed to be an eternity away. He simply didn't want to wait any longer. He wanted to kill his way into the ancient mountain. You can't enter, I can't enter as well. How would I know? Emperor Yu calmly replied, acting all mysterious. You established the God Hand Mountain Manor, and guarded it for so many years. How could you not know the secret of the ancient mountain? Do you know how to enter the ancient mountain but you intentionally hid it? Dongsheng Heaven Emperor questioned. Eastern Sage. Emperor Yu inclined his head. His white hair fluttered in the wind as he coldly spoke. I've long warned you. If your son enters the ancient mountain, he would definitely die. But you still insisted on letting him in. This is your choice. Now that he is dead, don't vent your anger on this old man. Forgive me for not accompanying you. Emperor Yu, you keep trying to act mysterious. In fact, I even suspect that you are the one controlling the ancient mountain. What secrets does this ancient mountain contain exactly? Dongxing Heaven Emperor had an unfriendly look in his eyes as he interrogated. His aura gushed forth, instantly causing a stifling pressure to envelop this entire space. When an immortal emperor was enraged, it would definitely be extremely terrifying. Emperor Yu stared at Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Finally, he spat out a single word, scram. Boom. As the sound of Emperor Yu's voice rang out, terrifying currents of qi gushed forth from the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, transforming into a terrifying tempest. His body shone with a divine light, containing a supreme might. He walked out step by step, and with each step he took, the hearts of the crowd pounded as though they were about to shatter. Deep footprints could be seen on the ground. The immortal emperors and immortal kings in the surroundings hurriedly acted to protect their subordinates. As for those without any background, they started to retreat. If immortal emperors were to act here, just the aftershocks alone would be enough to annihilate them. Because of Dong Xingting's death, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor's temper was extremely bad right now. He radiated a sense of anger that could erupt at any moment. Emperor Yu was an extremely ancient immortal emperor, and had lived for countless years. He could be considered a senior of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Now that the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was being so overbearing, no matter how good his temper was, he was still enraged. Finally, he spat out the word scram. An emperor-ranked battle could erupt at any moment. Emperor Yu sat there, radiating a divine light as well. Emperor Yu was clad in white armor as his white hair fluttered in the wind. Although he was sitting there, he exuded a terrifying imposingness. His gaze was like an unsheathed sword as he stared at the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. At this moment, this old man exuded a supreme magnificence. The mysterious Emperor Yu of the immortal realms. I wonder how strong he is now. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor spoke as he continued forward. The earth trembled as though there was a unique rhythm to it. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor's body glowed with a resplendent light. His right hand clenched into a fist as a beam of light appeared on it. Everywhere the fist light passed by, cracks would appear as the earth was split apart by the fist light. It was simply terrifying. Emperor Yu's palm shone with resplendent light as a terrifying might gushed forth from him. The immortal light radiating from him was boundlessly powerful, akin to the blazing sun. He stood up and stretched out his palm, akin to the hand of a divinity. Boom! Emperor Yu soared up into the air, instantly appearing in the air. If they fought on the ground, a single strike from the two of them would be enough to destroy the God Hand Mountain Manor. Boom! The Dongxing Heaven Emperor also soared up into the air. His fist slammed into the ground, causing a terrifying crack to appear. The two of them stood in the air, facing each other. God's hand. The gazes of everyone stared at Emperor Yu's arm. Boundless light radiated from it, resembling a true God's hand. An arrow appeared in his hand, pulsing with destructive light that could destroy everything. The arrow shot out tens of thousands of meters, locking onto the body of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Finally, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor acted. He punched out, causing the sky to tremble unceasingly. Tens of thousands of fist lights transformed into a destructive might, enveloping the entire space. The crowd below stared in shock at this scene. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor punched out, locking down the entire space, wanting to destroy everything. At the same time, Emperor Yu's arrow shot out. At the instant the arrow shot out, an incomparably gigantic winged demon appeared in the air, blotting out the sun. The boundless fist light collided with the gigantic greater demon, causing an earth-shattering sound to echo out. However, the arrow that the winged demon was protecting was destroyed. It penetrated through everything and vanished from sight. However, the crowd only saw the Dongxing Heaven Emperor explosively retreating. He suddenly vanished from his original location, retreating extremely far away. At the same time, he blasted out another fist light. This fist light was incomparably gigantic, akin to a constellation. It could easily destroy an entire city, causing the spectators below to stare dumbfoundedly as their hearts trembled. A beam of light shot out, shattering the gigantic fist light. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's body trembled violently once more as he stabbed out with a finger. In front of his finger, that terrifying arrow finally stopped and was destroyed. However, the expression on the Dongxing Heaven Emperor's face turned extremely heavy. He stared at the white-haired old man standing far away. Right now, Emperor Yu was brimming with health and vigor, resembling a supreme battle emperor. He didn't seem like a white-haired old man at the end of his life at all. Eastern Sage, show some respect in front of this senior. If you dare to be disrespectful again in the future, scram the hell out of the God Hand Mountain Manor. The old man calmly spoke, his voice echoing through the heavens and earth. After that, his body floated down, returning to the banquet in the God Hand Mountain Manor. His aura vanished as he once again transformed into an old man with the demeanor of a transcendent being. He calmly drank his wine as though nothing had happened. It was simply hard to imagine that this old man was able to traverse such a vast distance in the blink of an eye and shoot out an arrow that could destroy the heavens and earth. Zidi, the Ying clan, Jiang clan and the other immortal emperors stared at Emperor Yu as their eyes gleamed. This low-profile and mysterious Emperor Yu wasn't weak. It was because he truly lived a life of seclusion. Clearly, his strength was so tyrannical yet no one knew of him. All of them were speculating what level of cultivation-based Emperor You was at exactly. Did Emperor Yu break through to the peak stage of the immortal Emperor realm? The beautiful eyes of the Namhuang clan's Namfeng Guhong flashed with a bright light. However, there was no shock on her face, as though she wasn't surprised by Emperor Yu's strength. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor floated down, his countenance extremely unsightly to behold. This time around his son Dongxing Ting died in the ancient mountain. As for him, his attack was broken apart by a single arrow from Emperor Yu and he was humiliated. Courting your own humiliation. The Emperor Qianbian laughed. He and Dongxing Heaven Emperor were rivals. He naturally wouldn't care about Dongxing Heaven Emperor's face. Emperor Yu truly hid his strength deeply. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor coldly spoke, his tone unfriendly. But ultimately he didn't say anything disrespectful. Emperor Yu used his strength to show him what respect was. If it wasn't for the fact that he was waiting for that mysterious masked man to kill him, he wouldn't have stayed here any longer. This short instant of battle also caused the people in the God Hand Mountain Manor to sigh in admiration. The immortal realms were filled with geniuses. Experts were as common as the clouds. Don't think that some low-profile immortal emperors are weak. This Emperor Yu only used a single arrow to stun the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. His strength was extraordinary, and in the immortal realms, there should be many immortal emperors who lived in seclusion. Although this battle only lasted for a single strike, the commotion caused by it was extremely great. Everyone in a radius of a few thousand miles could see it. However, the people in the ancient mountain couldn't see anything at all. One couldn't help but to say that the ancient mountain was extremely mysterious. Qin Wentian and the others have already been in the depths of the ancient mountain for several days. After a period of increasing their speed, they slowed down again. This was because in the depths of the ancient mountain, there would be a formless divine aura gushing forth unceasingly, directly imprinting itself into the minds of everyone, causing their bodies to tremble. In addition, the deeper they advanced, the more intense this feeling became. What sort of character is this ancient Emperor Yi exactly? Namfeng Xinga sighed in a low voice. Being able to use the divine aura to obstruct the immortal emperors outside the ancient mountain, he must be extremely powerful. I know a piece of news. You can imagine how powerful he is. Namhuang Yunxi smiled. What news? Namfeng Xinga curiously asked. Qin Wentian also glanced at Namhuang Yunxi. Emperor Yu. Before he became an immortal emperor, no one knew of his existence. He is extremely mysterious and unfathomable. In fact, no one even knows of his name. That's because he has never roamed the immortal realms before and has no name. He is a servant of ancient Emperor Yi. Namhuang Yunxi spoke, her words causing the eyes of Qin Wentian, Namfeng Xinga and the others to flash. A powerful immortal emperor like Emperor Yu is merely a servant of ancient Emperor Yi? No wonder he would protect the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi. So this is the case. Namfeng Xinga spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian also believed that Namhuang Yunxi's words were true. This should be something the Phoenix Ancestor told her. The Phoenix Ancestor was also a supreme saint beast that has lived for countless years. What's that? At this moment, Jun Mengchen turned his gaze ahead. There were 5 gigantic peaks that towered so high that they pierced the skies. 5 fingers. These 5 ancient peaks are like the 5 fingers of a palm. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. God's hand, 5-finger peaks. Could it be that the divine energy originated from there? Not only were there 5 fingers, but there was also a palm below the 5 fingers? We will know once we take a look. Namfeng Xinga smiled. The group of them continued forward, but their speed grew slower and slower. A whistling sound rang out. Qin Wentian only saw a palm imprint of divine energy directly slamming into his body, causing his body to tremble. At this moment, the immortal foundation might of everyone in the group gushed forth as they advanced forward. However, the number of people in the group continued to decrease. Finally, they passed through several ancient mountains and saw the gigantic peaks. At this instant, they only felt a formless divine energy blotting out the sun as it blasted towards them. Careful. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Every step they took was already extremely difficult. Now that they suddenly experienced an even stronger formless attack, it was extremely dangerous. Chapter 1071. In front of Qin Wentian and the others, below the five-fingered gigantic mountain, there was indeed a palm. This was a terrifying gigantic palm that blotted out the skies, wanting to shatter the dome of the heavens. At the instant Qin Wentian's gaze landed on it, numerous formless diagrams abruptly blasted towards him. This was truly a supremely powerful palm imprint. Boom! Qin Wentian radiated a terrifying immortal might as the power of his immortal foundation gushed forth. The immortal energy in his body gushed forth like tidal waves, emitting rumbling sounds. The formless diagrams directly penetrated through everything, slamming into his body, causing him to groan in misery as he was forced to retreat repeatedly. The other participants all suffered the same attack the instant they stepped out. There were even some who coughed out blood as their immortal foundation trembled violently. They have all arrived. Namhuang Yunxi spoke. In front of the gigantic palm imprint, there were experts from the Jiang clan, Ying clan, as well as many geniuses from the immortal realms. They were all seated cross-legged in different locations, as though they were trying to comprehend the essence of the palm imprint. This is clearly something that can be broken. Everyone, be careful and get used to the essence of this attack. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. He stepped out once more, and this time around, the immortal light radiating from him grew even more intense. At the instant he stepped out, the formless attack blasted over. Qin Wentian's entire body shimmered with a dazzling light as he defended against it. Groaning in misery, he took another step forward as an intense reaction erupted from his body. All the immortal energy in his body was churning as his immortal foundation revolved frenziedly. Boom! Stepping out heavily, Qin Wentian's body was like a perfect fiend god body. He allowed the attacks of the essence to land on him as he steadily advanced forward. The reaction in his body grew increasingly intense, as though his body was about to shatter apart. His meridians were also trembling violently. Behind him, Namhuang Yunxi and the others followed behind, advancing step by step with great difficulty. Jiang Ziyu stared at Qin Wentian as a smile flickered in his eyes. As expected, Qin Wentian didn't die. It's just that he didn't know what happened to Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu who chased after him. Yingting frowned as he glanced at these people. He only saw that Qin Wentian was the first to walk to a rock at the side, and actually sat down cross-legged. The might of his immortal foundation circulated unceasingly as his body grew stronger and stronger. Namhuang Yunxi and the others entered the hall, and found themselves a place to sit down. They closed their eyes and comprehended the impact of the divine charms. It felt like there was no end to it. Each of them had an immortal glow circulating around their bodies as their bodies underwent some changes. Where exactly is the secret behind Emperor Yi's ultimate art? This divine charm is no longer present, and is getting weaker and weaker. Yingting stared ahead as he sighed. He had already reached this point. The heaven-connecting palm and the five-fingered mountain seemed to be the true soul of the ancient mountain. However, he had no clue as to the secret behind God's hand. Qin Wentian sat there as the divine charms continued to descend. The terrifying immortal energy in his body trembled, wanting to shatter his immortal body. Behind him, there were some who couldn't withstand the pressure and were retreating, preparing to leave this place. They felt that if they persisted any longer, their bodies would directly explode and they would die. If one wanted to cultivate powerful ultimate arts, it seems like one's physique had to be strong enough to support it. When one stepped into the immortal realm, everyone would have the opportunity to establish their own immortal foundation, as well as the opportunity to cleanse their bodies. The reaction within Qin Wentian's body grew more and more intense, akin to the roar of mountains and the roar of tsunamis. Rumbling sounds rang out as boundless immortal energy seemed to form a world within his body. Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly shut, but he gradually felt as though his eyes were open. That gigantic palm contained boundless divine charms that blasted out unceasingly, wanting to destroy his body. After many days, many people retreated from this place. However, they didn't give up completely and tried to return. After several failures, there were some who succeeded, but they still had no way to comprehend God's hand. The ultimate arts of ancient emperors were simply too difficult to cultivate. I suspect that Emperor Yu has been lying to us from the start. What he gave us wasn't the complete version of God's hand. Even if we accept the baptism of the divine charms, it would still be useless. At this moment, someone spoke, suspecting Emperor Yu. Many people frowned. The God's hand that Emperor Yu imparted to them seemed to be the complete version. Maybe their comprehension abilities weren't high enough. If they wanted to successfully cultivate the true version of God's hand, they would need an extremely high level of comprehension. Just because you guys are unable to comprehend it doesn't mean that Emperor Yu lied to you. Jiang Ziyu calmly spoke, his words causing many to glance at him. Yingting then spoke. In that case, you Jiang Ziyu are able to comprehend it? Jiang Ziyu smiled but didn't reply. His gaze then turned to Qin Wentian. In this place, only Qin Wentian cultivated God's hand. His hope should be the greatest. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, Jiang Ziyu still believed that Emperor Yu didn't lie to them. Since he was the protector of this ultimate art, there was no need for Emperor Yu to obstruct others from obtaining it. This wasn't in line with his duty as protector of this ultimate art. As the divine essence gushed forth unceasingly, Qin Wentian's God's hand blasted into his body. The immortal energy in his body circulated automatically, transforming into different runic diagrams. As his body transformed, in his perception, the gigantic palm before him was no longer dim and lusterless. Instead, it was radiating boundless divine light. That divine essence was extremely vivid and lifelike, and there was even a diagram that appeared and disappeared in and out of existence. However, he couldn't see clearly what diagram it was. He only felt that it was extremely mysterious. Qin Wentian gradually sensed that the divine essence of this gigantic palm was extremely bewitching. Maybe this towering palm was in existence meant to bewitch everyone. He continued to sense the blurry diagram as the light from the gigantic palm blasted into his body. The him at this moment had already forgotten the passage of time. Unknowingly, over 30 days have already passed and he was still immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. Beside Qin Wentian, Namhuang Yunxi, Jun Mengchen and the others all opened their eyes. The divine essence gradually weakened. This point was actually similar to what Shaolin Yue and the others encountered back then in the city of ancient emperors. Should we go to other places to take a look? At this moment, Yingting stood up and spoke. The divine essence of the gigantic palm was faintly discernible. He had no way to circulate God's hand, and it was basically meaningless to stay here. He seems to still be comprehending. At this moment, someone glanced at Qin Wentian and spoke, deliberately mystifying things. Yingting's arrogant eyes flashed with a hint of suspicion. There were many geniuses here. There were members of his Ying clan, Jiang Ziyu and the other members of the Jiang clan, the Namhuang clan, and experts from the various powers in the immortal realms. Could it be that only Qin Wentian could comprehend something? At this moment, Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't know what Yingting was thinking. At this moment, he was immersed in his cultivation. That blurry diagram gradually grew clearer and clearer. It was actually a human-shaped diagram. However, this human-shaped diagram gave Qin Wentian a feeling that it was as boundless as the starry skies, containing everything in the world. This human-shaped diagram seemed to be situated in the starry skies, and Qin Wentian felt that he was within it as well. At this instant, it felt like the heavens and earth were being split apart as terrifying transformations were occurring within his body. The true God's hand isn't a palm imprint art. It's a supreme ultimate art that encompasses everything in the world. It can activate the terrifying might of his immortal body, allowing Wuxia to reach his strongest state, using his palms to unleash overwhelming might. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Regardless of palm arts, spear arts, or halberd arts, as long as they were used, they would all be considered God's hand. He thought back to the scene shown to him by the ancestral phoenix. Ancient Emperor Yi used a single palm strike to kill Wuxia from an extremely far distance away. That palm strike could penetrate through space, and that was a spatial innate technique that was unleashed using the power of God's hand. God's hand is an ultimate art of the 10,000 arts, a truly supremely powerful innate technique. Qin Wentian was enlightened. Emperor Yu had imparted God's hand to everyone. But Qin Wentian could faintly sense that the inheritance he obtained from ancient Emperor Yi in the city of ancient emperors was prepared specifically for him. Although the god's hand he comprehended was merely the foundation, without this step, he wouldn't be able to comprehend the true god's hand. Qin Wentian sensed the boundlessly vast and profound secret art. Boundless transformations occurred in his body as the immortal light radiating from him grew even more intense. An aura that surpassed his cultivation base gushed forth, causing many to turn their gazes to him as shock could be seen on their faces. What's going on? The eyes of everyone flashed. Yingting's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. Among us, only he has cultivated God's hand before. The possibility of him comprehending this ultimate art is the highest. Jiang Ziyu stood up as he spoke. He stared at Qin Wentian, his eyes flickering. He had to bring this young man to the Jiang clan no matter what. Many people gathered here. When they saw this scene, Namhuang Yunxi, Jun Mingchen and the others stood in front of Qin Wentian as they stared warily at the crowd. Rumble. At this instant, the ancient mountain trembled as the gigantic palm in front of them trembled, causing the crowd to stare in shock. After which, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the center of the gigantic palm actually started to shatter. Boundless light radiated from within, and with a thunderous boom, the center of the palm shattered. The crowd hurriedly raised their hands to block, but a powerful beam of light shot forth. The crowd slowly shifted their palms away and stared ahead, feeling their hearts pounding. Inside this ancient mountain, there was a completely different world. There was actually a separate space. Also, this place was no longer a desolate ancient mountain. There seemed to be people living here before. This was left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. A shocking thought flashed through the hearts of everyone as their hearts pounded. Was this really the place where ancient Emperor Yi resided in? What did ancient Emperor Yi leave behind here? Qin Wentian abruptly opened his eyes, similarly staring at the scene before him. He stood up as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. What's going on? Namhuang Yunxi stared at Qin Wentian as she asked. I have no idea as well. Qin Wentian shook his head. Just when he felt that he had already comprehended the profoundness of God's hand, the gigantic palm suddenly shattered as another dimension appeared. Numerous silhouettes flashed as they sped inside. If this was truly left behind by ancient Emperor Yi, it would truly be a great treasure trove. Chapter 1072. When everyone stepped into the space within the palm print, their footsteps immediately slowed down. This space was very big, and they could feel a suffocating pressure enveloping their bodies. That kind of feeling seemed to be able to easily annihilate all of them if that aura were to erupt. A mysterious rhythm descended, as if someone was breathing. With each breath, they could feel their hearts pounding. Their blood flowed crazily in their bodies, and their eyes kept looking around. This space was extremely ancient and had a sense of desolation, as though it had been sealed for countless years. They followed the ancient path, and that feeling grew increasingly intense. It felt as though they were getting closer. That mountain. Someone stared at a stone mountain in front of them. This stone mountain had a unique shape, and it looked like a demonic beast. It blocked the path in front of them, and the powerful aura came from that direction. Their steps gradually halted as they stared fixedly ahead. That feeling grew increasingly intense, breathing in and out. Their hearts pounded unceasingly. At this moment, rocks started to roll down from the top of the stone mountain. Abruptly, a terrifying pressure bore down on them as rocks tumbled down unceasingly. At the head of the stone mountain, the rolling rocks gradually formed into a human face. It was extremely ferocious, like the face of a god of death in the mortal world. It was like a human, yet also like a demon. Its eyes were closed and terrifying fangs could be seen exhaling air currents, causing a demonic wind to blast onto the bodies of everyone, causing their backs to be drenched in cold sweat. This incomparably gigantic demonic beast was the size of a mountain. Just the breath it exhaled caused their hearts to pound wildly. It was as though a single breath from it could annihilate all of them. Nobody dared to wake it up. Everyone was extremely cautious as they slowed their breathing, afraid that they would disturb this terrifying existence that was in slumber. Everyone stared at each other, feeling the pressure on their bodies. This demonic beast was simply too gigantic, akin to an incomparably gigantic mountain, blocking their path. It was as though this demonic beast was the guardian of this place. What should we do? Someone transmitted their voiceover. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Since they have already arrived here, it was impossible for them to give up. In addition, this place was left behind by ancient Emperor Yi, and he was the one who broke through the palm imprint to enter. He didn't think that it was possible that ancient Emperor Yi lured him here just to kill him, right? Since ancient Emperor Yi left behind this ancient mountain, it meant that he wanted to find a successor. There was no reason for ancient Emperor Yi to kill him. As he thought of this, Qin Wentian lifted his foot and continued forward. The eyes of the crowd flickered as they stared at Qin Wentian. After which, there were people who took the lead and also stepped out. The crowd continued on their way with extreme caution, and when they arrived at the foot of the gigantic stone mountain, they felt as though they were about to suffocate. That gigantic stone mountain exuded a terrifying pressure, even when it was sleeping. Every breath it took caused their hearts to tremble, and the pressure grew increasingly intense. Some people couldn't walk anymore, not daring to continue forward. As they looked at the enormous vicious face that was gradually getting closer, they truly felt like they were suffocating. Phew! A terrifying breath was spat out, with residual warmth. Pooh! Because one of them was too nervous, his footsteps made loud noises, causing the others to be even more frightened. They all stopped and glanced at the greater demon. Only when they saw that the greater demon had no reaction, did they heave a sigh of relief. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already arrived below the head of the greater demon, and was preparing to bypass it. Rumbling sounds rang out as rocks from the top of the stone mountain tumbled down unceasingly. With every breath it took, the suffocating pressure grew even stronger. A pair of incomparably large eyes opened, gleaming with a terrifying light as it stared at the crowd. At this instant, everyone was dumbfounded as they stared at the pair of eyes. Even if all of them were added together, they would only be as big as the eyes of the greater demon. Qin Wentian was also stunned for a moment as he stared at the pair of cold eyes. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the gigantic body of the greater demon moved, causing the stone mountain to crumble. A greater demon with a human face appeared before their eyes, exuding a fiendish aura, akin to a true primordial god of death. This was an ancient ferocious beast, the greater demon, the Bian. These juniors have disturbed seniors' rest. We beg for seniors' forgiveness. Yingting from the Ying clan reacted very quickly as he bowed slightly to the greater demon. The greater demon, the Bian, was still breathing as it stared at the crowd. Many of them were already drenched in sweat. They felt that as long as the greater demon willed it, it would be able to slap all of them to death with a single swipe of its claws. Why are there so many of you? A thunderous voice rang out from the mouth of the greater demon, the Bian. This voice was like a bolt of heavenly thunder, vibrating the eardrums of everyone, causing their bodies to tremble. Even their internal organs were trembling. These juniors knew that ancient Emperor Yi had left behind an inheritance here, so we paid a visit to Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu told us to enter the ancient mountain to search for the inheritance, and after that, we entered this place. Yingting replied, but he didn't say that they came here because of Qin Wentian. Let's enter. The greater demon spoke again. After that, rumbling sounds echoed out as it slowly laid down on the ground, continuing its slumber, completely ignoring everyone. This caused the crowd to heave a sigh of relief. Qin Wentian and the others walked past the greater demon, continuing their advance. The air was filled with an ancient aura, and the place that appeared before them did indeed seem to be a place where humans resided. They halted their steps once more, staring at the empty immortal palace before them. This was an incomparably majestic immortal palace. The major characters of the immortal realms had already reached a certain cultivation realm, and had the qualifications to enjoy life. They naturally wouldn't allow themselves to live too shabbily, and would have their own immortal palaces for themselves, their descendants and even their clan members to reside in. Was this immortal palace before them the place where ancient Emperor Yi resided in those years ago? They followed the staircase in the center, moving towards the immortal palace step by step. Their hearts were filled with a sense of pilgrimage, thinking in their hearts that if they could become the master of this immortal palace, how good would that be? Were the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi all within? However, everyone was soon disappointed. The immortal palace was completely empty, they couldn't find anything. Although the immortal palace itself was constructed from extremely valuable materials, it was impossible for them to move it away. In addition, there was still a greater demon guarding the place outside, who would dare to act recklessly. As they moved deeper into the immortal palace, another terrifying aura gushed over. They continued forward and finally, they saw a shocking scene. Before them, there was actually a golden figure. This golden figure was illusory and incomparably gigantic, towering up into the skies, akin to a divinity. The divine charm contained within it caused everyone to feel terror when they glanced at it. And behind this gigantic figure, there were numerous bronze gates. Each gate was incomparably gigantic, as though they had existed here since ancient times. As for what was behind these bronze gates exactly, were these the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi? What made everyone feel despair was that beside each of the bronze gates, there was a greater demon guarding them. These ancient greater demons seem to be in deep slumber. They have been here for far too many years. The heartbeats of the crowd quickened. Ancient Emperor Yi, not only did he leave his inheritance here, he even left behind his treasures. Was he leaving them for his successor? In that case, what Emperor Yi was protecting wasn't merely the god's hand, but everything left behind by ancient Emperor Yi as well. Ancient Emperor Yi was once the immortal realm's king. It was simply unimaginable how terrifying his treasures were. At this moment, many people had already forgotten about God's hand. In their eyes, there were only the bronze gates and the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. Compared to the illusory ultimate art, the treasures were much more realistic. The silhouettes of many people flickered, passing by the golden giant and arriving before the bronze gates. Boom, boom, boom. The great demons guarding the 3 bronze gates opened their eyes at the same time. A suffocating pressure directly pressed down on everyone, forcing them to prostrate themselves on the ground. They raised their heads with great difficulty and shouted, "We juniors are allowed to enter by Emperor Yu. Senior, please show mercy." The pressure gradually weakened. Only then did everyone stand up. Those greater demons closed their eyes, not even bothering to glance at them. They walked to the front of the bronze gate and exerted force, wanting to push it open. However, they discovered that they couldn't budge it at all. Qin Wentian didn't move together with the others. He walked step by step towards the picture of the golden giant. The energy in his body circulated, and with a single step, he arrived in front of the picture. In an instant, an ancient might bore down on him, blasting into his body, causing his bones to emit cracking sounds. With a groan of misery, he coughed out a mouthful of blood as his countenance turned pale. This is the true God's hand. Qin Wentian stared at the golden human-shaped diagram in front of him. With just a single glance, he could sense that this was the true God's hand, containing everything within it. That illusory human-shaped diagram seemed to be a real existence. The might radiating from it was akin to that of an ancient existence, so terrifying. Qin Wentian walked towards the golden figure as the energy in his body circulated frenziedly. The power of his saint-grade immortal foundation was unleashed to the limits as the light from the golden figure flowed unceasingly into Qin Wentian. Every strand of energy was sufficient to make Qin Wentian feel the might of a death god. This. Namhuang Yunxi stared at Qin Wentian's actions as a bright light flashed in her eyes. Seems like he is really going to succeed in cultivating an ultimate art. Only he has a chance to cultivate ancient Emperor Yi's God's hand. Namfeng Xinga smiled. Emperor Yi was only guarding this place under the orders of ancient Emperor Yi, waiting for his successor? It's not so simple. He seems to be under immense pressure. Namhuang Yunxi was somewhat worried. The cultivation of God's hand naturally wouldn't be so simple. Namfeng Xinga spoke in a light voice. Purgatory and Jun Mingchen were also staring at Qin Wentian. At this moment, Jiang Ziyu also stepped out. His eyes gleamed with a terrifying light, as though he wanted to see through everything, including the golden figure. He walked forward step by step as the energy in his body circulated. A powerful might gushed forth from him, causing the eyes of Namhuang Yunxi and Namfeng Xinga to flash. This fellow was so powerful. Boom! A fearsome might erupted forth. Jiang Ziyu coughed out a mouthful of blood as his body was flung through the air. The expressions of the people from the Jiang clan drastically changed as they hurriedly retreated. What a terrifying might! Jun Mingchen stared in that direction. If Qin Wentian was the slightest bit careless, he would surely be in danger. Chapter 1073. After Jiang Ziyu was injured, he returned. He inclined his head and stared at the golden human-shaped diagram as an intense trepidation could be seen in his mysterious eyes. This diagram was the one that truly contained a shocking divine essence, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wentian was still standing there. He felt as though he had already fallen into a trance. From the human-shaped diagram he could see a real body. This human-shaped body was akin to a divinity. The divine aura contained within the body had the power to destroy him. He was enveloped by boundless light as his body unceasingly trembled violently. It felt as though his body would shatter into pieces at any moment, causing him to die. Those who walked towards the bronze gate used all sorts of methods, yet they had no way to shake it. They discovered that on the surface of the bronze gate, there seemed to be a gigantic palm inscribed with incomparably complicated diagrams, mysterious and unfathomable. They had no way to see through them. Could it be that only by cultivating the ultimate art of ancient Emperor God's hand, would one be able to open the bronze gate and obtain the treasures of ancient Emperor Yingting spoke. The eyes of everyone flashed as they turned their gazes to Qin Wentian. Seems like that gigantic human-shaped diagram was the secret art of God's hand. Qin Wentian might be able to cultivate God's hand and open the gate to the treasures. Yingting and the others walked over, arriving before the gigantic golden human-shaped diagram. After that, numerous experts stepped out simultaneously. However, some of them only managed to take a few steps before they were forced back by the shockwaves. A scream of agony rang out. There was one person who didn't give up even when he couldn't hold on any longer, continuing forward. His body was actually shattered as his immortal foundation was destroyed. He fell to the ground. His countenance was ashen as he screamed in agony. Such a scene caused everyone to stare at him in shock. After that, when they inclined their heads and stared at the golden diagram, their gazes were filled with reverence. After that, more and more experts arrived. It was because Qin Wentian had opened the gate to the five-fingered mountain. Without any obstructions, they could proceed forward smoothly. When they saw the greater demon as well as the immortal palace, they were all incomparably shocked. So it turned out that the immortal palace of ancient emperor was hidden in the depths of the ancient mountain. No wonder an immortal emperor like Emperor Yu was assigned to guard this place for so many years. Yingting also failed in his attempt. He was injured from the impact, and there seemed to be a destructive energy wreaking havoc in his body, wanting to destroy his immortal foundation. This made Yingting understand that without his previous foundation, it was impossible for him to get close to the golden body diagram. It was impossible for him to succeed in cultivating God's hand. There was only one person who had this chance, and that person was none other than Qin Wentian. From the moment Qin Wentian broke through the ancient gate, it was already destined that only Qin Wentian would have a chance. The various experts all realized this point. For the inheritance of ancient Emperor they were merely a foil to Qin Wentian. Why is it like this? A descendant of an immortal emperor spoke, feeling reluctance in his heart. Because he has already cultivated God's hand before. Emperor Yu opened the ancient mountain for him. Kong Yi coldly spoke, similarly unwilling to accept this. If I had the good fortune to encounter God's hand in the city of ancient emperors, I would also be able to cultivate it. Sadly, my luck isn't on my side. Yingting's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian. Without the foundation of God's hand, he wouldn't have any advantage over us. Excuses. When Jun Mingchen heard these people complaining about Qin Wentian's luck, he couldn't help but feel extremely unhappy in his heart. He then spoke. You guys should have been to the city of ancient emperors before. The palace left behind by ancient emperor, wasn't discovered by my senior brother Qin Wentian. It has long been discovered by others, but no one has been able to enter. So many people in the past failed to do so. Yet you guys are saying that those who succeeded can only be attributed to luck. How ridiculous. When I was here, I didn't know that there was a palace left behind by ancient Emperor Yi in the city of ancient emperors. Yingting coldly spoke. Humph. Do we have to tell you that that palace is the location of ancient Emperor Yi's palace before telling you how to enter? Only when the god's hand is in your hands would you be able to obtain it. Jun Mingchen spoke. The immortal realms are so vast, there are many inheritances and treasures. Only a minority of people managed to obtain them, and many of them became experts. As for those who didn't manage to obtain the god's hand, don't you want to say that those experts were only lucky? Who the hell do you think you are? You dare to speak to me like this? Yingting stepped out, causing the earth to rumble. A terrifying king's aura gushed forth, blasting towards Jun Mingchen, causing Jun Mingchen's body to tremble. Who the hell do you think you are? Jun Mingchen always had a fiery temper, while Yingting was extremely arrogant. The moment the two of them collided, a flame instantly ignited in their hearts. Yingting, what are you doing? Namhuang Yunxi stepped out as phoenix flames blazed around her, exuding terrifying immortal might. Namhuang Yunxi, others might be afraid of you, but my Ying clan doesn't. You better not be a busybody. Yingting coldly spoke, exuding an aura of arrogance. Do you think that my Namhuang clan is afraid of your Ying clan? Namhuang Yunxi replied, not retreating an inch. Yingting coldly laughed. He stared at Namhuang Yunxi and spoke, everyone, how about we deal with the Namhuang clan together? Since you guys don't dare to injure them, just leave them to my Ying clan. Coincidentally, I still want to capture a holy successor of the Namhuang clan to serve me every day. There's also a beautiful holy successor here. It wouldn't be too bad if she could warm my bed for me. The eyes of everyone flashed. This fellow Yingting was truly audacious. At this moment, the expressions of the Namhuang clan turned cold as their battle intent gushed forth. After we deal with the Namhuang clan, we will wait for that fellow to cultivate God's hand. At that time, we will control him tightly and get him to bring us into the Bronze Gate to obtain the treasures. At least we wouldn't have wasted our trip here. Yingting continued. Everyone instantly understood his intentions. This was Yingting's true purpose. So many experts came here just to accompany Qin Wentian in cultivating God's hand? Yingting of the Ying clan was clearly unhappy. In that case, so what if Qin Wentian cultivated God's hand? After dealing with the Namhuang clan, Qin Wentian would still be enslaved by him. As for capturing Namhuang Yunxi to serve him, that was most probably just an impudent statement by this fellow Yingting. Although the Ying clan was very arrogant, they wouldn't dare to be so brazen. As long as the people from the Namhuang clan don't interfere, they wouldn't act against the holy maidens. At this moment, a voice rang out. Evidently, the people from the other powers weren't willing to offend the Namhuang clan. They didn't dare to take the initiative to say that they would join forces to deal with the Namhuang clan. Haha, it's fine. If the Namhuang clan interferes, my Ying clan will be responsible for dealing with them. You guys only need to deal with that fellow. Is the Jiang clan interested in joining forces? Yingting stared at Jiang Ziyu as he spoke. Jiang Ziyu merely smiled at Yingting, but didn't say anything. It's fine even if the Jiang clan doesn't have the guts to participate. Yingting flicked his sleeves as he spoke in arrogance. The people from the Ying clan and the Namhuang clan already stood in their positions, facing each other. Qin Wentian had no idea what was happening in the outside world. He walked step by step towards the golden human-shaped diagram, and it was as though he could see another body within it. That body was guiding his body, causing it to undergo a startling transformation. But even so, his body was still on the verge of shattering, unable to endure the pressure. However, at this moment, the candle-like power of his bloodline started to circulate, restoring his body. Every time it circulated through his body, it would cause his body to undergo a transformation, becoming more compatible with the golden human-shaped diagram in front of him. He had the fiend god body refinement art, and his physique was already extremely tyrannical. For ordinary first-level immortal foundation characters, he would be able to explode them with a single punch. Even if his opponent attacked him, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. He had a perfect immortal foundation, and the fiend god body refinement art. His physique was close to perfection, allowing him to have the qualifications to cultivate God's hand. But this complete version of God's hand seemed to be able to cleanse his body once more, merging with his bloodline to reforge his physique. If his body underwent another transformation this time around, it would be extremely difficult to find someone with a physique stronger than his in the vast immortal realms. However, such a baptism wasn't easy. Qin Wentian advanced extremely slowly. That faintly discernible body was simply too terrifying, capable of destroying everything. He faintly sensed that if that divine essence erupted forth, even immortal emperors wouldn't be able to endure it. He had a feeling that this immortal palace, as well as the divine essence of the ancient mountain outside, were all born from the gigantic human-shaped diagram in front of him. Although it was located here, it radiated boundless light, causing this mysterious ancient mountain to have its own divine essence. Once immortal emperors stepped foot here, they would be able to directly sense that supremely powerful divine essence. The reason why they could reach here was because their cultivation bases were weak. Naturally, Qin Wentian believed that if there were truly supremely powerful characters, even if they were immortal kings or immortal emperors, as long as they could borrow the power of God's hand to sense the divine essence, they would also be able to enter the ancient mountain. It was just that no one could do this. The situation outside was still the same. Qin Wentian was immersed in his cultivation. In fact, it was extremely difficult for others to even get close to Qin Wentian. Behind him, Zidi and the experts from the Dongshengshan Gate also arrived. Their eyes flashed with killing intent when they stared at the experts from the Namhuang clan and the Dongshengshan Gate. Naturally, when they stared at Qin Wentian, the killing intent in their eyes grew even more intense. Dong Xingting and Ziyunwu had both died. They found their tattered robes and traces of blood, but there was no sign of their corpses. They also saw the bronze-masked young man, but he had an extremely powerful sealing treasure which allowed him to escape. The death of Dong Xingting and Ziyunwu was simply a nightmare to them. If they exited the ancient mountain, they might have to face the wrath of Dongsheng Heaven Emperor and Zidi. All of this was because of Qin Wentian, the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. If it wasn't for these people, Dong Xingting and Ziyunwu wouldn't have died. You guys want to kill him? Yingting pointed to Qin Wentian. Yes. Everyone nodded. We will give you guys a chance. But before he opens the treasure vault, no one is allowed to take his life. His life is extremely useful. Yingting coldly spoke. He didn't treat Qin Wentian as the inheritor of the secret art, but as the key to opening the treasure vault of ancient Emperor Yi. So what if Qin Wentian comprehended the secret art? In the end, Qin Wentian could only be used by Yingting. Chapter 1074. At the God Hand Mountain Manor, the people outside were still waiting. The immortal foundation characters of the immortal realms were all experts who had cultivated for many years. They naturally had patience. Although several months have passed, they weren't anxious at all. One could only say that this ancient mountain was extremely mysterious. In addition, the people from the Jiang clan, Ying clan and Namhuang clan didn't have any intense reactions. This indicated that the important characters were still alive and hadn't died yet. They grew more and more curious. What secrets were there in the ancient mountain exactly? Was Emperor Yu really unable to enter? Emperor Yu was the protector of ancient Emperor Yi's inheritance. How could he not be able to enter? Although they were suspicious, after witnessing the battle between Emperor Yu and the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, no one dared to act recklessly and disrespect Emperor Yu. Strength won respect. Here, other than Zidi, who was a peak-stage immortal emperor, the other immortal emperors weren't. No one dared to say that they could win for sure against Emperor Yu. Although the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor quietened down a little, the killing intent in his heart didn't dissipate at all. He hated Dong Xingting even more than the Violet Emperor. The Violet Emperor only died because of his nephew, while the one he killed was his youngest son. Dong Xingting was someone he had with a concubine. Because his other sons were already very powerful, other than fighting their own battles, he doted on Dong Xingting a lot. Now that Dong Xingting was killed in the ancient mountains, how could the Eastern sage immortal emperor not be enraged? Emperor Yu, I wish to consult you. In this ancient mountain, could it be that only the person who cultivated God's hand before would have a chance to obtain the complete inheritance? The immortal emperor from the Jiang clan asked. If not, why would immortal foundation characters be the most suitable to enter the ancient mountain? Sir, you are thinking too much. Although ancient emperor, he left behind an inheritance in the city of ancient emperors. I have no idea when it would appear. What if that brat you speak of didn't come here at the immortal foundation realm, but at the immortal king realm instead? Emperor, you calmly spoke. Everything is fair, including everyone here. Everyone has a chance to obtain the ultimate art of ancient emperor E. The reason why none of you can enter is because your cultivation base has already reached a certain level where you can no longer tolerate the divine essence of God's hand. Hence, none of you can enter. In that case, the possibility of him cultivating God's hand is still higher. An immortal emperor from the Ying clan asked. What do you think? Emperor, you laughed. The immortal emperors of the Ying clan didn't say anything. Wasn't this nonsense? Before this, Qin Wentian had already cultivated God's hand before. The possibility of him succeeding would naturally be higher. The people outside were all waiting. Inside the immortal palaces in the ancient mountain, the experts of the major powers were also waiting. Qin Wentian walked step by step into the pattern, as though he wanted to become one with it. The others had also tried, but other than Qin Wentian, no one could get close. They would all be injured by the vibrations. Now, it seemed that they could only wait for Qin Wentian to finish his cultivation. How slow is he? Yingting unhappily glanced at Qin Wentian. It has already been several months since they entered the ancient mountain, and he has been waiting for Qin Wentian for a very long time. However, he still hasn't finished his cultivation. In addition, there were some changes happening to Qin Wentian that made him feel a little jealous. Qin Wentian's aura surged even more intensely. The immortal light circulating around him made everyone feel that the physique of Qin Wentian right now was extremely perfect. Such an immortal physique was definitely something that immortal foundation experts could only dream of. For this trip to the ancient mountain, all of them were like accompanying guests. Given Yingting's prideful personality, how could he be willing to accept this? In the Ying clan which ruled the Ying clan, there weren't many in the same generation that could make him a side character. Many more days passed. Qin Wentian's body was still undergoing transformations. However, as time passed, the transformations grew smaller and smaller. He no longer tried to resist the power of the divine charm, but chose to enjoy the baptism of this energy. Right now, he seemed to have fused as one with that marvelous body of his. That surge of energy unceasingly cleansed him. Countless runic inscriptions and endless transformations flowed into his sea of consciousness, evolving within his body. This kind of transformation was gradually slowing down, but it was still progressing towards maturity. Many people were already impatient from waiting, and wanted to interrupt Qin Wentian. However, Yingting stopped them. Since they had already waited for so long, he didn't mind waiting a little longer. He planned to interrupt Qin Wentian. Even if they could really interrupt Qin Wentian, if they did so, who would be the one to open the bronze gates? If they had no way to obtain the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi, they would have made a wasted trip here. He would rather wait for Qin Wentian to finish. Luckily, this day finally arrived. Qin Wentian finally stopped. He opened his eyes, which shone even more resplendently than before. However, when Qin Wentian landed on the ground, many experts instantly surrounded him, causing his eyes to turn heavy as a cold light gleamed in them. Yingting stepped forward, arriving before Qin Wentian as he spoke. After waiting for so long, you should have already mastered the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi, God's hand, right? Senior brother, this fellow wants to use you to open the bronze gates and obtain the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. They have already joined forces. Jun Mengchen spoke to Qin Wentian. I didn't say that. I've already waited for you for so long. Now it's time for me to do something. Go and open the bronze gates. Yingting stared at Qin Wentian, glancing at the experts gathered here. The people from the Ying clan, the descendants of the immortal realms, as well as the people from the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi's group. With such a lineup, even if the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian sect joined forces, they wouldn't be able to contend against them. Seems like although these people couldn't comprehend the ultimate art, they might as well give up. The only thing they wanted was the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. Didn't you hear my words? Yingting saw that Qin Wentian didn't reply. His tone grew even more domineering. After that, several experts behind him stepped out. Qin Wentian. At this moment, Jiang Ziyu, who was at the back, spoke. Qin Wentian, as long as you agree to follow me to the Jiang clan, I will lend you a helping hand. Jiang Ziyu. Yingting's eyes were as cold as ice. He turned over as cold qi gushed forth. It's fine if you don't want to join forces with me, but you actually dared to undermine me? Do I know you? Jiang Ziyu swept his gaze over to Yingting as he impolitely spoke. As one of the 3 strongest ancient clans in the southern regions, how would the people of the Jiang clan be afraid of the Ying clan? Very good. Yingting's eyes gleamed with coldness. Qin Wentian stared at Jiang Ziyu. This person kept inviting him to the Jiang clan. His intentions were unclear. However, the hearts of humans were sinister. Jiang Ziyu was extremely shrewd and wouldn't do useless things. If he invited Qin Wentian to the Jiang clan, it would definitely be beneficial to him, or the Jiang clan. To him, this wasn't a good thing. Once he entered the Jiang clan, he would be slaughtered by others. Even if the Namhuang clan wanted to help him, it would be useless. He naturally wouldn't agree to Jiang Ziyu's request. But if he didn't agree to Jiang Ziyu's request, he would be at a disadvantage if he relied on the strength of the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian gate. Qin Wentian turned and walked towards the bronze gates. Over here, there were 3 gigantic bronze gates that exuded an unfathomable aura. Nobody knew what was behind them, but they guessed that they were the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi. In front of the bronze gates, there were terrifying greater demons standing guard. Senior. Qin Wentian walked to the front of a greater demon and called out respectfully. This greater demon was actually an ancient demonic beast, the Kuei Ox. It exuded a ferocious aura, and when it opened its eyes, it was extremely terrifying. Speak. The Kuei Ox spoke. Junior has obtained the inheritance of ancient Emperor Yi's God's hand. Do the treasures behind the bronze gates belong to Junior? Qin Wentian bluntly asked. First you have to open the gates. The Kuei Ox's voice was extremely loud, like a great bell. Since Junior has obtained the inheritance, can Senior act on my behalf and kill some people? Qin Wentian asked again. Upon hearing his words, the gazes of everyone froze. Even Yingting was so shocked that his entire body turned cold. These 3 greater demons were guarding the bronze gates, and didn't even bother with their arrival. They didn't even care about the inheritance. They shouldn't act against them, right? But when they heard Qin Wentian's words, they still felt their backs turning cold. This bastard. You don't have the qualifications to give me orders now. The Kuei Ox coldly spoke. Qin Wentian wasn't disappointed. His eyes gleamed with excitement. He didn't have the qualifications now? In that case, there would be such a possibility in the future? In that case, what must I do to make Senior help me? Qin Wentian politely asked. Behind him, Yingting and the others walked over, their eyes flashing with killing intent. I told you to open the bronze gates, not to chat. Yingting transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. After you open these gates, you will know. The Kuei Ox calmly spoke. Its tone was emotionless. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Bronze gates again. Seems like these 3 bronze gates were the key. Could there really be treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi within? Each of these 3 bronze gates was more complicated than the previous. The diagrams on them were truly all-encompassing, mysterious and unfathomable, as though they contained the truths of the great Tao. Only one of them could he understand a little bit. As for the other 2, he could only see nothing but chaos at first glance. Qin Wentian moved his feet and walked to the bronze gate that he could understand a little bit. He asked, Senior, can you tell me what's inside? There was no reply. The greater demons had all closed their eyes, completely ignoring him. This caused Qin Wentian to feel somewhat depressed. No matter what, He had obtained the inheritance of ancient Emperor Yi. Yet the greater demons didn't give him any face at all. Qin Wentian, you better hurry up. My patience is limited. Yingting couldn't help but threaten when he saw Qin Wentian completely ignoring his words. Qin Wentian turned his head and glanced at Yingting, only to see the experts of the Namhuang clan and immortal Qianbian gate surrounding them. He stared at Jun Mingchen and Purgatory as he spoke. These two are your friends, right? If you continue wasting time, don't blame me for being impolite. Fine, I will do my best. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. His gaze landed on the bronze gate as he stared at it intently. The diagram on the bronze gate seemed to be evolving on its own, encompassing everything. Numerous runic inscriptions flowed through his sea of consciousness. This diagram should be the key to opening the bronze gate. The energy in his body circulated as the immortal energy around his immortal foundation flowed, transforming into a diagram of 10,000 laws that flowed unceasingly, containing a myriad of transformations. After that, Qin Wentian closed his eyes as everything was imprinted into his mind. The people behind stared at Qin Wentian and the bronze gate. If the bronze gate was opened, would the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi really be able to be hidden within? Would the so-called alliance of Yingting and the others still be able to be maintained? Chapter 1075. Yingting and the others stared nervously at Qin Wentian. No one knew what was behind the bronze gate, but they all understood that once the gate was opened, various situations might occur. Qin Wentian tried to place his palm on the bronze gate several times, but failed every time. Although the bronze gate glowed with resplendent immortal light, he still wasn't able to open it. In the blink of an eye, several days passed, causing Yingting and the others to feel somewhat impatient. They even threatened Qin Wentian several times, but Qin Wentian pretended not to hear them, and ignored their words. Today Qin Wentian opened his eyes. Immortal light gushed forth from his body as a divine glow circulated around him. His palm shone with a dazzling immortal light, and with a wave of his hand, a palm imprint shot out towards the bronze gate. A gigantic palm imprint directly imprinted itself onto the diagram of the bronze gate. At this instant, countless runic inscriptions on the diagram of the bronze gate started to flow as a line of runic inscriptions appeared in the middle of the diagram. A powerful beam of light shot out, and a crack finally appeared on the bronze gate. After that, the bronze gate opened to both sides. Boom! At this instant, terrifying immortal might gushed forth from everyone as they walked out, rushing towards the bronze gate. Namhuang Yunxi, Jun Mingchen and the others walked to the side of Qin Wentian only to see Qin Wentian speaking. Let's enter. They lifted their feet and stepped in as well. Within the bronze gate, there was a passageway. On the left and right of the passageway, there were numerous armored figures that resembled immortal weapons. Yet at the same time they resembled humans. These are immortal puppets. Yingting and the others glanced to their left and right. Those armored figures were all immortal-ranked puppets. They were extremely perfect, resembling perfect immortal weapons that could completely fuse with the human body. They instantly rushed forward, wanting to seize the immortal puppets for themselves. However, they discovered that these immortal puppets didn't move at all. Behind him, a rumbling sound could be heard as the bronze gate closed on its own. It was exactly the same as the other side. Qin Wentian stared at these human-shaped puppets. They were simply too perfect. Such immortal-ranked puppets required an extremely high level of craftsmanship. Also, there was a palm imprint on each of their chests. At this instant, Qin Wentian understood that in this place, only he could control these puppets. With a flash, Qin Wentian arrived before one of the puppets. However, someone had already appeared there. The person stretched his hand out to touch the puppet, wanting to keep it, but was unable to do so. Get lost, one of them shouted cold when he saw Qin Wentian coming over. Qin Wentian instantly radiated a tyrannical immortal might as rumbling sounds rang out from his body. His palm transformed into a sword as he slashed out with the speed of lightning. The distance between the two of them was too close. That expert's countenance drastically changed as he retreated. But given such a close distance, How could he evade Qin Wentian's sudden attack? That thunderous sword light transformed into a sword light that could kill. With a poochie sound, that expert clutched his throat with both hands as he stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. He wanted to speak, but only muffled sounds could be heard. Qin Wentian punched out, slamming into that expert. The terrifying might of that expert shattered his immortal foundation and sent him flying through the air. Qin Wentian's countenance was cold to the extreme. Did they really think that by forming an alliance, they would be able to command him, Qin Wentian, from a lofty position? How ridiculous! Numerous powerful auras gushed over. The experts from one of the major powers all stared at Qin Wentian as killing intent gushed forth. Yingting and the others also moved over, their gazes cold. The experts from the Namhuang clan and Dongshengshan gate instantly gathered before Qin Wentian, protecting Qin Wentian. Give me a way out. Qin Wentian spoke, pushing aside the two figures before him as he stared at Yingting and the others who were walking over. You want to rebel? Yingting's eyes gleamed with coldness. You are truly shameless. Do you want to fight? Qin Wentian spoke. Ridiculous. Yingting waved his hands as the experts moved, surrounding Qin Wentian and the others. Alliance? Qin Wentian smiled mockingly as he pointed to the bronze gate. Whoever dares to stand on Yingting's side, I guarantee that they won't be able to walk out of that bronze gate. Other than me, no one can open this gate. Since you all want to follow Yingting to deal with me, then let Yingting bring you out. The expressions of everyone stiffened as they glanced at the closed bronze gate. The back of the gate was exactly the same as the front. This gate could only be opened by Qin Wentian alone. Do you all really want to try? If you still don't retreat, I will do what I said. Qin Wentian shouted. Instantly, some people retreated, followed by many others. This caused Yingting's expression to darken, his gaze exceptionally unsightly. Do you really think that you are so mighty? Qin Wentian stared at Yingting and asked. Who do you think you are? As he spoke, he ignored Yingting and walked towards the puppet. His palms pressed down on the insignia on the chest of the puppet armor. A moment later, a beam of light flashed as the puppet armor automatically opened up. Qin Wentian walked into it and the puppet armor closed up, enveloping his body bit by bit. It was actually able to adjust the degree of relaxation and fit perfectly with Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian seemed to have donned a full set of armor. Qin Wentian released the might of his immortal foundation. In an instant, the puppet armor seemed to be activated, radiating resplendent immortal light. Its might was many times stronger compared to Qin Wentian's cultivation base. Qin Wentian took a step out, moving towards Yingting. Before Yingting, several experts from the Ying clan appeared, staring at Qin Wentian with wariness in their eyes. Rumble! A terrifying might gushed forth from the puppet's palms, transforming into a bright light. The people around Qin Wentian all retreated, after which, Qin Wentian blasted out with a palm strike, manifesting a god's hand that exuded a terrifying might that could wipe out everything. The experts before Yingting attacked at the same time. Two gigantic beasts appeared, resembling demonic pythons. Rumbling sounds rang out as destructive energy gushed forth. Yingting's body was enveloped by the experts of the Ying clan. The experts from the Ying clan all stared coldly at Qin Wentian. Everyone, there's no need to be so nervous. I'm only testing out the might of the puppet armor. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Qin Wentian smiled. The experts from the Ying clan frowned. The puppet armor Qin Wentian wore was extremely powerful and had terrifying offensive capabilities. By borrowing the power of the puppet, Qin Wentian's combat prowess rose to the peak level of immortal foundation. From this, one could see how powerful this puppet was. You are very arrogant. Yingting stared at Qin Wentian. Same here. Qin Wentian replied. He walked towards the other puppets and opened them up. After that, he turned to Namhuang Yunxi and Jun Mingchen as he spoke. Enter the puppets, they will be able to control them easily. These puppets were forged to perfection. As long as one used God's hand to open them up, there was basically no need for them to control the puppets. They only needed to circulate their immortal energy, and they would be able to control the puppets. Namhuang Yunxi, Jun Mingchen, Namfeng Shinga and Purgatory were preparing to enter the puppets when Yingting spoke, "Stop them." The countenances of the people in the surroundings were all unsightly to behold. If Qin Wentian used these puppets to send his subordinates with lower cultivation bases into the puppets and control them, the strength of their side would instantly reach a level where no one could suppress them. Those who don't wish to go out can give it a try. Qin Wentian coldly spoke, causing many people to shrink back. As for Namhuang Yunxi, Namfeng Shinga and the others, they all entered the puppets. After they entered, the puppets could instantly move, perfectly attuning themselves to their bodies. They walked to the side of Qin Wentian, giving off an immense pressure. Qin Wentian and Jun Mingchen walked past the crowd. Everywhere they passed by, those who were in the puppets would all open up a path for them. Every time Qin Wentian opened up a puppet, he would allow people from the Namhuang clan or the immortal Qianbian gate to enter. This caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. Was this Qin Wentian planning to occupy all the puppets? Finally, the people from the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian gate were all donned in their puppets. Qin Wentian's gaze landed on Yingting. Through the coldness of the puppets, Yingting could sense the coldness in Qin Wentian's eyes. For those who have nothing to do with this, disperse. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, those who weren't part of the Ying clan all retreated, allowing the people from the Ying clan to enter. "Sir, what do you want to do?" An expert from the Ying clan asked. "You guys deal with the people from the Ying clan. Leave Yingting to me." Qin Wentian spoke. In this case, the experts on his side would have the absolute advantage. Also, they were all wearing puppets. It would be extremely difficult for them to injure them. Even those from the Dongshangshan Gate and Zidi's followers who wanted to kill Qin Wentian all retreated at this moment. "The Ying clan, do you guys really dare to act?" A cold voice rang out. "Do it." Qin Wentian impolitely commanded. The experts of the Ying clan and Qin Wentian brought their puppets and directly rushed into the midst of the Ying clan. They lifted their palms and blasted out ferociously. The people from the Ying clan frenziedly defended, instantly causing the entire space to tremble violently. Those who had nothing to do with this hurriedly retreated far away to avoid being affected. The battle instantly erupted. Qin Wentian and the others were clad in puppets, and even used their palms to slash apart divine weapons. They were like tigers that had entered a pack of wolves, instantly forcing the people from the Ying clan into a corner. What powerful puppets! Everyone was shocked. Even divine weapons were useless against them. The attacks of Qin Wentian and the others were like the hands of God, swiftly injuring a large number of people as they killed their way to Yingting's side. Yingting was forced to retreat repeatedly. He was clad in armor and wielded an immortal-ranked weapon in his hands. However, the power he could unleash was limited. "You dare!" Seeing Qin Wentian walking over, Yingting roared. Boom! A gigantic palm imprint slammed towards Yingting. With a thunderous boom, Yingting was directly slammed into the ground by the terrifying might. It was useless even if he borrowed the power of his immortal-ranked weapon to block it. Bang! Qin Wentian directly kicked Yingting, sending him flying through the air. Yingting screamed miserably as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. "I want to kill you!" Yingting howled in rage. There were people who wanted to help him, yet they were all blocked. Qin Wentian descended once more, stomping down with his foot, causing a thunderous boom to ring out. Everyone could even feel the tremors from the impact, as they silently wiped the sweat off their faces for Yingting. This Qin Wentian was truly daring. Chapter 1076. Yingting was trampled by Qin Wentian. He only felt that his dignity had been completely lost. His eyes spat fire, and just when he was about to erupt forth with his immortal foundation, Qin Wentian directly stomped down, injuring his body, causing him to have no way to condense immortal energy to attack. He could only lie on the ground, allowing Qin Wentian to trample on him. "Qin Wentian, I, Yingting, swear that I will make you suffer a fate worse than death." How arrogant was Yingting! He was a heaven-chosen of the Ying clan, and had a lofty status. When had he ever suffered such humiliation before? Boom! Another heavy stomp landed. Yingtung felt that his internal organs were about to shatter. But he wasn't on the verge of death. His immortal sense couldn't be activated either. Qin Wentian's control of his strength was extremely good. Continued to be arrogant. Qin Wentian's countenance was like ice. Yingting wanted to play him in the palm of his hands, becoming a tool to open the treasure trove. He even used the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate to threaten him. In that case, he would teach Yingting a lesson on how to respect others. If you have the guts, kill me. Yingting roared. Qin Wentian's actions caused him more pain than death. It's too troublesome to kill you. The experts of your Ying clan would hunt me down again. After killing the young, the old would come. This is the style of your clan. My cultivation base is so low. Why would I clash with the Ying clan? Qin Wentian laughed, his words causing the experts of the Ying clan to heave a sigh of relief. As expected, Qin Wentian wouldn't dare to kill Yingting. However, I have a lot of time. Killing you is too troublesome, but if I slowly torture you, the Ying clan wouldn't dare to hunt me down just because you lost to your peers in the outside world, right? Qin Wentian suddenly changed the topic and his lips curled into an evil smile. After all, when a heaven's favorite gets hurt or suffers some setbacks, it is also the motivation to move forward. As he spoke, Qin Wentian stomped down again. With a rumbling sound, the hearts of the crowd throbbed. Yingting let out a blood-curdling scream. The crowd seemed to be able to feel Yingting's pain at this moment. They were afraid that they couldn't wait to tear Qin Wentian into pieces. But what he said wasn't wrong. Yingting was injured outside and met with some setbacks. It was impossible for the Ying clan to stand up for Yingting with great fanfare. Being humiliated like this, Yingting wouldn't have the face to return to the clan and say it out loud. Should he ask the elders for help? In that case, he might not be able to establish himself in the Ying clan in the future. Yingting, you can also go back and complain to the elders. Tell them how you were humiliated by me. If you do that, your elders might take extra care of you in the future. Qin Wentian seemed to be able to guess Yingting's thoughts as he continued. Yingting's face turned ashen. How could he say that? This madman. The crowd looked at Qin Wentian and felt their hearts trembling. He was definitely a madman. To be humiliated like this, Yingting would most probably be haunted by his inner demons in the future. Jiang Ziyu watched from afar as Qin Wentian tortured Yingting. His eyes flashed with a strange light. Be careful if you encounter this person in the future. Jiang Ziyu said to the people around him. He could sense a sense of wildness coming from Qin Wentian, which was crazy yet calm. He didn't kill Yingting, but made Yingting suffer a torture worse than death. Yet he didn't put himself in a disadvantageous position. At this moment, he was like a completely different person from Qin Wentian, who didn't even reply to Yingting when he was berated by Qin Wentian. As long as he got the chance, he would make you regret it. As Qin Wentian tortured Yingting, he glanced at the others who were fighting and said indifferently, "Remember to be merciful. Don't kill them. Just make them lie on the ground, unable to move." "All right," Jun Mingchen replied with a smile. He seemed to be somewhat excited. Fully armed, they had the absolute advantage and crushed the people of the Ying clan. It didn't take long before everyone was lying on the ground. At this moment, Yingting could no longer move. He was lying limply on the ground. Qin Wentian reached out and lifted him up, then walked towards the bronze gate. He pressed his palm on the bronze gate, and the gate opened. Qin Wentian tossed Yingting out. The others did the same, tossing out all the people of the Ying clan. They came in arrogantly, but left in such a miserable manner. It seemed that not only did they not gain anything from this trip, they were also humiliated. "I heard that you want to kill me?" Qin Wentian turned his gaze, staring at the people of the Dongshengshan Gate as well as Zidi's followers. His tone was filled with ridicule, causing the hearts of those people to tremble as they silently cursed Qin Wentian for being a bastard. This fellow didn't care about them at all earlier. He only acted after he dealt with the people of the Ying clan. "Dongxing Ting is dead?" Qin Wentian suddenly asked, his words causing the countenances of everyone to turn cold as they stared at Qin Wentian. "Seems like it's true. What a pity that I didn't personally kill him. Since this is the case, maybe the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi would treat you guys well." "I won't act. Please leave." Qin Wentian stepped aside, allowing them to exit. The people of the Dongshengshan Gate and Zidi's followers respectively stepped out, their expressions extremely unsightly to behold. Indeed, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi might use the deaths of Dongxing Ting and Ziyunwu to vent their anger on them. If an immortal emperor was angered, they might even lose their lives. They were contemplating if they should return to report the completion of the mission. If they didn't do so, they might even be hunted down by the immortal emperor. Staring at those people departing, Qin Wentian turned to Jiang Ziyu and the others as he smiled. Brother Jiang. Jiang Ziyu stared at Qin Wentian as he smiled. Brother Qin, do you really not intend to visit my Jiang clan as a guest? It's fine. In the future when I wish to go, I will go there again. Qin Wentian smiled. Okay then, I will wait for Brother Qin's arrival. Jiang Ziyu smiled. After that, he waved his hands and led the people of the Jiang clan out. Do you guys want me to treat you guys? Qin Wentian stared at the remaining experts as he spoke. Their countenances were ashen. Right now Qin Wentian and the others were all clad in puppets. If a battle broke out, peak-level Immortal Foundation experts might still be able to resist, but for those with weaker cultivation bases, they would be easily killed. It seemed like they could only retreat. This time, Gushan came here for nothing. He didn't obtain God's hand and the so-called treasures of ancient Emperor Yi. These puppets actually required God's hand to activate. Very swiftly, the experts of the various powers all left, leaving behind only the people of the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. They walked inside, and the bronze door closed automatically. There were many puppets here, and although they were of different shapes and sizes, their power should be similar. They walked along the path in the middle, and came to another bronze door. It seemed like there were doors in front and behind them. Qin Wentian suddenly felt that it was ridiculous. Could it be that the puppets here were there to prevent people from tracking him? Were they there to defend against enemies? If this was the case, the person who did this was truly someone with great foresight. After the bronze gate was opened, a beam of light shot in as a cool breeze brushed past. Qin Wentian stood at the entrance and stared at the scene before him in a daze. This! Namhuang Yunxi exclaimed in shock. Not only for her and Qin Wentian, everyone else was stunned when they saw the scene before them. Their eyes, which were covered by the puppets, flickered with shock. Qin Wentian walked forward step by step. This was a flight of stairs, and as he walked down the stairs, they landed on a gigantic stone suspended in the air above a mountain peak. Ahead of them was an extremely precipitous mountain peak, but on top of this mountain peak, numerous palaces could be seen. They were all built in an orderly manner, giving the appearance of perfection to this mountain range. Their position was at the highest point, and they had an extremely good field of vision when looking down. In fact, they could even see the silhouettes of humans moving about. His gaze continued to stare into the distance. Because the distance was too far, the buildings and humans there were as tiny as ants. Yet they were all moving about. That was a city. Qin Wentian floated up and arrived at the peak of the mountain. He stared in all directions and discovered that the location he was at wasn't the end of this space. On the contrary, it was the center of this city. It was like the king's mountain range, and he could see every corner of it. Not only were there humans here, but there was also a city here. It was like a world of its own. From the palaces below, silhouettes could be seen soaring up into the sky. These silhouettes were all clad in armor, and there were actually over 1,000 of them. They floated in the air and stared at Qin Wentian's group. They were divided into two groups. Below them, there were even more experts descending. These experts all had extraordinary demeanors, and their eyes were brimming with vigor. It was as though they possessed great combat strength. Among them, a middle-aged man stepped out. He looked at Qin Wentian and asked in puzzlement, "Why are there so many people here? I wonder who opened this door?" Qin Wentian took a step forward and said, "It's me." The middle-aged man glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, he actually bowed to Qin Wentian and shouted, "Welcome, Saint Lord." We respectfully welcome the arrival of the Saint Lord. From all directions, the experts who descended all bowed to Qin Wentian as they called out in a loud voice, "Welcome, Saint Lord." Those armored soldiers even knelt on one knee. At this instant, their voices reverberated through the entire mountain range, like the roars of mountains and tsunamis, shaking everyone's hearts. Qin Wentian was stunned. Namhuang Yunxi and the others were similarly stunned. They had no idea what was going on. Saint Lord? Why were these people so respectful to Qin Wentian, and even addressed him as Saint Lord? Can you explain? Qin Wentian asked. Saint Lord, please follow me. The middle-aged man stretched his hand out and gestured. Qin Wentian slowly walked out. The others behind him followed after him. All of them were filled with curiosity. The middle-aged man led the way. He brought Qin Wentian downwards, heading towards the buildings. The buildings here weren't as majestic, but they were simple and unadorned, with a unique style to them. This gave Qin Wentian a strange feeling. This feeling was extremely marvelous. It was as though these buildings all contained an aura of battle. This was a formless aura, the aura of battle. Saint Lord, can you remove the puppet armor? These puppets were created by our clansmen. There's no need for Saint Lord to guard against us. That middle-aged man spoke to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian smiled. He truly didn't sense any evil intentions from the middle-aged man. Hence, he removed the armor and revealed his true appearance. The middle-aged man glanced at Qin Wentian as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. Saint Lord is so young, truly extraordinary. You should be even younger than the previous Saint Lord. The previous Saint Lord, Emperor Yi? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Could it be that this place wasn't created by Emperor Yi? Was Emperor Yi the same as him, an outsider? Chapter 1077. In the ancient palace, many experts gathered here. Among them, there were many young men and women. Their gazes were fixed on Qin Wentian, filled with curiosity. They had heard too many legends about the Qin Wentian clan, and also knew what the Saint Lord meant. But when they saw the young countenance of Qin Wentian, they still felt that it was interesting. Gather our clansmen and return to our ancestral grounds. The middle-aged man spoke, his voice ringing out across this entire space. The experts from all directions started to move, and at the same time, there were people serving the people from the Namhuang clan, and the immortal Qianbian Gate. That middle-aged man then spoke to Qin Wentian. Saint Lord, regarding your identity, we might need Saint Lord to personally head to our ancestral grounds to explain things to the Saint Lord. Qin Wentian fell silent for a moment before he nodded. Sure. Entertain the guests well. The middle-aged man commanded. Someone obeyed, and the middle-aged man brought Qin Wentian in another direction. Senior, is this place a world? Qin Wentian curiously asked. Saint Lord, my name is Qi Donglu. Saint Lord, you can just call me by my name. There's no need to refer to me as senior. Qi Donglu hurriedly replied. This place can indeed be considered a world, but it naturally cannot be compared to the outside world. The first generation Saint Lord sealed this place, and created the 3 world skies in order to help my clan find a place to settle down. 3 world skies? Qin Wentian asked in bewilderment. Yes, 3 world skies. This is the first world. Above it are the second and third world skies. Qi Donglu explained, his words causing Qin Wentian's eyes to flash. He couldn't help but to think of the 3 bronze gates outside. Could it be that these 3 bronze gates corresponded to the 3 world skies that Qi Donglu spoke of? Qi Donglu brought Qin Wentian through many caves and came to a desolate place. This desolate place resembled an ancient battlefield, and there was an ancient battle platform in the center. The surroundings of the platform were filled with gigantic stone peaks, and at this moment, several silhouettes could be seen standing on the peaks. All of them exuded a surging aura. Their blood and qi were incomparably vigorous. Their eyes shone with spirit as they exuded a powerful combat might. Qi Donglu brought Qin Wentian to the peak in the center of the platform. Staring at the crowd, Qi Donglu spoke. Why are you still not paying your respects to the Saint Lord? Greetings, Saint Lord. Everyone stared at Qin Wentian as they bowed in respect. However, Qin Wentian also discovered that some of the youth's gazes weren't that sincere. Their gazes were filled with battle intent. Saint Lord, please don't blame us. There are some young fellows in the first world who lack respect for the history of their clan. However, the people of our Battle Saint tribe are all men of character. Even if they lack respect for Saint Lord, they wouldn't dare to do anything disrespectful to you. Qi Donglu spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. What a tyrannical name. Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wentian mumbled. There were many ancient clans in the immortal realms. For example, the Southern Phoenix clan, Ying clan, Jiang clan. All of them had a history of countless years. Other than this, there were also countless ancient clans in the immortal realms. An example was the Gold clan of the southern region. But for a clan that dared to proclaim itself as a Battle Saint tribe, it was extremely rare. Yes, the Battle Saint tribe. Qi Donglu nodded. He then turned to Qin Wentian and explained. Saint Lord shouldn't know about our tribe yet. Our tribe also doesn't know about the external world. But according to the ancient records and the teachings passed down from generation to generation, we know that our Battle Saint tribe is a truly powerful tribe that has existed since the supreme ancient immortal realms, standing at the peak of the boundless world, peering disdainfully at everything under the heavens. Upon hearing Qi Donglio's words, the eyes of the youths on the mountain peaks all gleamed with sharpness as their blood for battle surged within them. This rumor had been passed down from generation to generation since they were young. The teachings of their ancestors told them not to forget their identity, not to forget how strong they were, and that there would be a day when they would be able to return to the peak. The Battle Saint tribe, a powerful ancient tribe that stood at the peak of the world? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He thought back to the memories his father left behind for him. The clan that his father betrayed. Was it such a powerful tribe? Naturally, this is already history. Now that I mention it, other than adding some glory to our Battle Saint tribe, there's no other use. Qi Donglu suddenly spoke, sounding a little disappointed. From the ancient records and the teachings of our ancestors, we know that countless years ago, our tribe met with a calamity of destruction. The most important saint bones of our tribe were all taken away by others, causing us to be on the brink of annihilation. Our ancestors managed to evade this calamity, and this was the reason why the Battle Saint tribe of today exists. When Qin Wentian heard Qi Donglio's words, he started to believe it. No matter how powerful a tribe was, in the long river of history, there would always be a period of glory and a period of decline. There are countless powerful tribes in the boundless world, and after millions and millions of years of evolution, who could guarantee that a particular tribe would be able to last for eternity? This immortal realm was once unified by many ancient emperors, but didn't it still crumble and fall apart? Many experts rose up. Time could change too many things. How many major powers and ancient clans had vanished in the course of history? It could be considered fortunate that the Battle Saint tribe was able to survive until now. My tribe wasn't annihilated and managed to survive. It was all thanks to the help of the first-generation Saint Lord. In order to avoid the calamity of that year, the first-generation Saint Lord allowed us to take refuge here, cutting off all contact with the outside world. Only after generations of Saint Lords came here would they choose a few of our tribesmen to go out and survive in the outside world. At the same time, for the sake of the ultimate goal of our tribe, we want to search for the Battle Saint bone that was stolen from our ancestors. Why don't we go out together? Qin Wentian asked. Saint Lord, you might not know this, but although our tribe reproduced extremely quickly countless years ago, the number of people who could truly awaken the bloodline of the Battle Saint tribe and give birth to the Battle Saint bone is extremely rare. Saint Lord has already seen these people here. These are the people from the Battle Saint bone tribe who were born during the countless years between the first generation Saint Lord and you. Naturally, this is only the first world. There are still some who went to the upper world. Qin Wentian glanced at everyone and frowned. Isn't this a little too few? The number of direct descendants of the Battle Saint tribe in the first world isn't as many as in the upper world. Because after breaking through to the immortal king realm, the tribe members would choose to go to the upper world. Since the talents of our tribe are all extremely high, many of us would break through to the immortal king realm and go to the upper world. The people here are all the younger ones. In the future, when Saint Lord goes to the second world, you should be able to see even more of our tribe members. Qi Donglu spoke. Qin Wentian had long noticed that the people here were all at the immortal foundation realm. So it turned out that they had all gone to the upper world. Seems like it's the same as what I've guessed. The other 2 bronze gates should be connected to the upper world. This should be to prevent those who don't have enough strength to casually bring out the members of the Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wentian silently mused. Qi Donglu, didn't you say earlier that the Battle Saint bone of your ancestor was stolen away? Why would the members of your tribe awaken a new Battle Saint bone? Qin Wentian didn't understand. According to the ancient records of my Battle Saint tribe, the Battle Saint bone stolen from our ancestor is the most important inheritance of our tribe. It contains the boundless secrets of the Great Tao, and has a certain chance of being passed on to the later generations. From then on, there would be a chance for an innate Battle Saint king to appear every once in a while. However, due to that calamity back then, the Battle Saint bone was stolen away and no more inheritances could be passed down. The members of our tribe guessed that not only would there be no more innate Battle Saint kings, the average talent of our tribe would also be much weaker compared to back then. The power of our inheritance would also be diluted. Qi Donglu sighed, his words causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. If what Qi Donglu said was true, and there were so many people who possessed the Battle Saint bone that they could all break through to the Immortal King realm, how terrifying was the members of their tribe back then? Maybe they really were a peak-level tribe. Such a glorious era was simply unimaginable. Back then, although the first-generation Saint Lord helped us to continue the bloodline of our tribe, he didn't want our tribe to vanish in the annals of history. This was why he risked his life to do such a benevolent deed. He didn't ask for anything in return. However, in order to thank the first-generation Saint Lord for his kindness, we allowed him to cultivate the Battle Saint art of our tribe. The first-generation Saint Lord was also a supreme character. He was able to derive a supremely powerful innate technique from the Battle Saint art. Saint Lord, you should have relied on this innate technique to enter this place. Qi Donglu continued. Also, our ancestor and the Saint Lord have an agreement. In the future, the members of our tribe would assist the person who obtained his inheritance, viewing that person as the Saint Lord. Every generation of Saint Lord would be able to mobilize half of our tribe's strength to head to the outside world. As for those who stayed behind, they would be able to continue the existence of the Battle Saint tribe. The people of our tribe would respect the Saint Lord as our Lord, but we also hope that the Saint Lord would be able to help them grow together. For those who went out with the Saint Lord, they wouldn't be able to return. Other than assisting the Saint Lord, they also shouldered the responsibility of finding the Saint bone that was stolen from them, returning to the peak of glory of our tribe. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He suddenly asked, what if there are multiple Saint Lords in the same era? That's not very possible. The first-generation Saint Lord once said that those who could obtain his inheritance and open the gate to this world would have the potential to dominate the outside world. Such people wouldn't appear more than once in an era, and even if they appeared, it's impossible for them to obtain the inheritance at the same time. The probability of such a thing happening is almost zero. If there were such people, there would be 2 Saint Lords. Qi Donglu laughed. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Potential to dominate the immortal realms? This first-generation Saint Lord was truly confident. So it turned out that the god's hand wasn't created by Emperor Yi. Instead, it was created by someone in the generation before Emperor Yi. This was created by the first-generation Saint Lord. Qin Wentian suddenly thought of a person. He then asked, do you guys know of Emperor Yu? Emperor Yu was rumored to be the servant of Emperor Yi. And for the people of the Battle Saint tribe, Emperor Yi was the Saint Lord of the previous generation. Yu. Qi Donglu's eyes flashed. I've seen the genealogy records in the ancient records. Among those who followed the Saint Lord out, there's a person named Qi Yu. I wonder if they are related or not. In that case, there's a high chance that it's him. Qin Wentian smiled. So it turned out that Emperor Yu wasn't merely protecting Emperor Yi's secret art. In that case, the old man beside Emperor Yu, were they also from the Battle Saint tribe? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.